No, but I'm used to being in trouble. I
Well,
mean, I'm always in trouble.
we were almost really in trouble because another about 30 seconds and we would have been late for one of the very few times in 220 some odd shows. Why do you look
Yeah.
small today?
I am kind of sitting down now.
Yeah, hold on. We gotta enlarge your presence a little bit. There we go.
Well,
See?
I mean, I hardly had any lunch, and I'm dying here.
Well, I don't blame you. It's okay. Look, it's our show. You can eat on the show if you want. And if folks don't like it, we appreciate everybody that comments, good or bad. But if folks don't like it, they can hit the mute button for just a few minutes. Right?
I'll bet Juliana doesn't care. She's like, you know what? He can eat all he wants to eat. He should eat more.
Well, that's only if you text her and pretend to be Queen David to coach her and let her know it's okay if Duke Lowry eats during the show.
Are you saying that you think that she's being coached during the shows?
Oh, I
I mean,
can't
during the
say that because I'm being mean and we've been accused of being bullies, which is funny because we're literally giving a voice to a lot of people that aren't able to go to these meetings. And if they do, they get shouted down at some of the meetings. So we'll get into all that here. But anyway.
Now, notice earlier I said show. I was talking about clown shows because today and yesterday was no less but more clown shows.
Yes, it was quite the show today. I started to go to the city council meeting. I got wrapped up doing this and some other stuff that I had to do. And I didn't make the meeting. I wish I would have been there because there was some excellent dialogue that went on during that meeting. And so, yeah, we're going to talk about that too. Let me adjust my camera. There. I always
Well,
like
hey,
having my
did
team
did
Glock.
you and everybody did you and everybody see that uh, Zuckerberg came out and said, "Hey, we censored, we we steered the debate,
I
and
saw
that
that post.
the laptop, Hunter Biden laptop, was real. It was not Russian disinformation."
Well, imagine that. It's, it's like,
I'm just,
look,
I no all these black helicopters are turning out to be real.
yeah, and look, I'm not going to put us, on the same scale as Zuckerberg and Facebook and the Hunter Biden laptop or whatever, but there's a lot of stuff that we have put out over the last few years that, oddly enough, has turned out to be true. And there have been a few times, very few, when we've had to correct the record. But well, we'll talk about all that after we come back from the break because it looks like we're going to have to start injecting our little disclaimer every show again that we are not professional journalists. Matter of fact, we're not journalists at all. I would say we're amateur pundits because we do inject our bias, we do inject our opinions, and we're very opinionated into every show that we do. I mean, we do report on a lot of stuff, but it's stuff injected and mixed with our opinion. That's literally on our website, but we're going to show that after the break.
Now, I want everybody to know the eating police have already, wrote me a ticket.
I didn't see your wife slap you in the back of the head yet. Did I miss that?
No, she's not here, but she doesn't have to be here to communicate.
She did the
All
virtual
right, let's
smack you in the back of the head.
yeah, let's go to break, and we'll come back and we'll get all over Bossier City, the Bossier Charter Commission, and more law breaking and all of the above. More
Yes,
censorship. I mean, it's like communism all over in Bossier City. They're bringing it back. It's
be
hip to be
careful.
communist.
Be careful. We'll be accused of McCarthyism next. Folks, you all know the drill. We're going to hit the break. That'll be about, well, it's not long now. It'll be about 3 minutes total. Get your popcorn ready quickly. Tag and share this out. Grab you something to drink. Get your fingers ready on the keyboard to comment. And we will be right back.
Not gonna do what? I mean, you're all using French on me and stuff. This Viva Voce or whatever. I mean, I don't know what's going on.
Well, let's just get straight into that. So hold on just a second. Let me share my screen. Hold on. Let me get
I
over to the
mean,
right deals.
That ain't terminology we use out in Halton, okay? I'm just telling you.
Well, look, I ain't no French person neither. I took Spanish in high school, as a matter of fact. But the title of the show is, and I've been wanting to sing Viva Las Vegas all afternoon for some reason, but the title of the show is Viva Voce. And let's let Google pronounce it for us. This is so much fun. Watch this. Here we go.
Viva Voce.
Viva Voce.
Oh, see,
Viva
I was saying
Voce.
it wrong.
Yeah,
Voce.
Voce. How do
Well,
y'all say it in the comments?
that kind of sounds like you're gay or something if you say it, Voce.
You can't say that. We've already been accused of bullying politicians today. Now we're going to
Look,
have the gay community after us.
why would they be after us? I mean, what Ron White say? Hey, if you're gay, that's okay, or something
I
like that.
agree.
I don't know. And then he started talking about midgets, and then I thought that was offensive.
Well, yeah, that might be a little
Some people,
offensive.
some people say I'm short. I don't know.
Well, I've been called short all my life. I've been called, and folks, y'all need to plug your ears if you have small children watching. I've been called an asshole all my life. I mean, since I was like 5 years old. So people are going to have to say a lot worse to piss me off and offend me.
Oh, see, right out of the gate, you're going with the potty mouth, and they say people won't watch
Exactly.
us. They won't watch us if you use that foul language. I'm just saying.
You know what's amazing? So let's talk about this for a second. I want to pull up our website. Hold on just a second. So we do not have a market or an audience for, because it's not a market, it's not a business, but we do not have an audience that wants to see the flower gardens. If you want to see the flower gardens and the rainbows around Bossier City, we have said this before many times ad nauseum. There's plenty of organizations that do that. You can go check out the Bossier City Chamber. You can go watch what's her name at the Bossier Parish School Board. That's the cheerleader for them. Anyway, you could go listen to her all day long. There are plenty of places you can go see if you want to hear just the positive spin on things. What we're here to do is show you the other side, the reality of some of the things that go on. We have literally said that from day one. It's like been on our website forever. You can go to our website right now. I actually want to pull this up because I've got a
Well, now wait a minute.
screenshot.
Doesn't that make us bad people?
I don't know, but I'm sure there are a lot of people that think we're bad people. I don't know.
Well, the politicians think we're bad people. They say we're bad people, and their cronies, or people that fall in line with them say that we're bad people.
Hey, look, Brian says I'm his favorite a-hole amateur pundit. Awesome. I have a fan club of one.
I don't know Brian Aber, but good job sucking up.
Yeah, so like I said, if that's the worst thing ever, all right. So and look, I've got all of our cuts and everything kind of mixed up, but I want to pull up. Let me see. Oh, cut 26. Hold on. And folks, y'all
Well,
are gonna have to bear with me tonight. Duke, you too. I'm not like firing on all cylinders here, so y'all just bear with
it's
me.
like I
Might
don't
have
know
to
what
rein
it
me
is,
in.
and it may not just be you, and it may not just be me, because you and I both this morning we both said, "Dang, we kind of it's like we're in a lurch." I don't know this week. Maybe it's the heat. I don't know. It just feels like it just can't get going. I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah, I'm just having a not an easy time getting really zoned into everything. So I want to read to you the last sentence of this paragraph. This platform has a primary focus to reveal and take on the good old boys network that often operates within Bossier City and Bossier Parish politics. We can't put it any plainer than that. We're not here to talk nicely about politicians. Now, we may occasionally give them credit if they do something that's really good, but again, that's not what we're here for. We expect them to do a good job just by virtue of the fact that they chose to run for a public office. Therefore, they're going to be held to a much higher standard. And so we expect them to do a good job. That's literally what most of them's platform is that they say they run on. Anyway,
Yeah,
sorry.
but the problem, Rex, is that they had the expectation of being able to run and govern the way that all of the elected officials governed before them, which was without having a Bossier watch that would put all of the dirty laundry out there in the public. There were journalists, amateur journalists, James Q. Welburn, our friend with my Bossier that put a lot of information out there,
Absolutely.
but it I would argue that it wasn't on steroids like what we're doing, putting it out there. And would you agree?
Of course. And we have said this from, if you go back and watch the very first show, which was in, what was it, October of 2021, 2020? I don't even remember now. But if you go back and watch that very first show, we pretty much state what we're going to do. Our mission statement, our core objective is to shine a light on the inner workings of local politics, especially focusing on the networks that have traditionally governed the political scene. We aim to provide a platform that not only informs, but also empowers our community to understand and question the status quo. So, why am I going on such a rant about all this? Do you have any
I, I'm
clue?
I want no, I want to know because I didn't know what got you all hot and bothered about this.
I didn't really take it personally, but Amanda Jones put a comment. And look, we appreciate all the comments, even if you don't agree with us. So I'm not calling her out to embarrass her. This was a public post. She said, "You guys used to be strictly the facts and informative," which kind of confused me. "It was so appreciated. Recently, however, Bossier Watch has started bullying and name calling, and it's such a shame." First of all, when have we ever just been facts and informative? We make fun of the traditional news media that attempts to do that, and they hide their bias under the guise of trying to be fact-based and informative. At least we don't hide it. I mean, what do y'all think in the comments? Should we just be fact-based and just report facts? Or should we continue on with our commentary? Are we bullies? Who are we picking on?
Yeah, that would be something like if I said, look, Juliana had a bad day. She was misquoted and trying to censor the public or limit the speech of the public. That's really not what her intent is. Just the fact that she's done it in countless meetings, that y'all should disregard that. I mean, she just had a bad day today and y'all are reading it all wrong. Is that the kind of
Right.
media that you're suggesting or somebody suggesting that we should put out there?
Well, apparently so. And again, it's no slight on Amanda. She is absolutely justified in stating her opinion because, as you know, I can count on one hand the number of comments we've censored, and those have just been obvious trolls or spam. So even during the show, but I do, and I'm sure her comment was, based on this because, well, I have the princess. I didn't even name her. I don't have to name her now because the name fits, the nickname fits. But I've got the little princess, and well, there's a book burning in the background, a communist flag, and she's got the gavel and her finger pointed up. I figure that's
Is that
appropriate.
is that book burning? Do you think that's like the law, some statutes or something? Because
It
is it
could be
is
the
that
law,
why
it could be
you've
the
got
library.
is that why you've got Viva Voce? Wait a minute, I ain't saying it, politically correct there. Voce. I
Say it
got to
your
say it
best
with
hot-esque.
well,
Viva Voce.
yeah, but that ain't Voce. Yeah, there we go. Viva Voce. I mean, because you got the book burning thing, and you got Viva Voce sitting there. I mean, there's got to be some correlation to that. I mean, she burning the law. I mean, she is a lawyer and wants to be a judge and wants to silence the public to where she wants to slam that gavel down on everybody.
Oh, I
Right?
know. Yeah. Anybody that disagrees with her. Um, and look, it's not just her. She's just the obvious target because she keeps opening her mouth and changing feet. And she's doing it publicly. Look, I don't care what she talks about. If she's out at dinner with her husband or friends, well, I don't care about all that. It's only in her public office setting or in her official capacity or quasi-official capacity as a police juror, a library board member or whatever, a charter commission member, a lawyer for the sheriff's department, whatever. I forget all her titles, accolades that she has. But when it's not that we're making anything up. We literally just show what the politicians and people say and do. We show the video. You know, what's that saying now? We bring the receipts. I don't know. Uh, and even when she made posts about the see you next Tuesday crap, what did we do? We showed the post. When she got the guy fired, we showed the post. We connected the dots to that. I mean, she can't deny that. And she is a public official. Therefore, she is held to a much, 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 much higher standard than if she were a private citizen. And if she were a private citizen, wouldn't give a darn about her.
Well, and with all of those points, I intend to show everybody something else tonight and you're going to be surprised, Rex, and y'all are going to be surprised. I'm going to agree with her.
I just
I'm
lost.
going
Stay
to
there. Stay there. Hold on. I just lost you. I've got to get Duke back. I told you I was not firing on all 8 cylinders. Where did you go? There you are. Okay.
Well, my camera still shows it's going. Anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm gonna agree with her tonight. She made a comment at this charter commission meeting. I just got to show it because I don't want anybody to say we're putting words in her mouth. We'll let her say it in her own words, but then I'm gonna pose the rhetorical question and
Yeah.
play the other devil's advocate, I guess you might say. So
Well,
on
we'll
this
do it.
Viva Voce thing, and maybe you're wanting to say something else about this.
Well, yeah, let me just wrap this part of it up out and then we'll get back to the French stuff, or whatever language it is. So here was our official reply. I said, with all due respect, we have always given or injected our bias and opinion as well as reported facts and never been strictly facts or informative. We have stated that in countless shows, posts, and comments. In the case of this satirical political cartoon, based on recent tirades and speeches by local politicians, we feel it is entirely fitting. We do appreciate your comment, though, if you don't agree. As a side note, full disclaimer, political cartoons and characters have a rich history dating back centuries using humor and satire to comment on political events and personalities, from the clever illustrations of the 18th century artists like James Gilray to modern day editorial cartoons. These artworks continue to play a crucial role in political discourse, offering sharp, often humorous critiques that engage and provoke thought among the public. Your mileage, I can't even talk tonight. Mileage may vary. So that's the thing. We're doing this on purpose to get people's attention. The cartoon factory is in full swing.
Yeah, it's to get attention and it's to hopefully, arouse the interest of the public in your local government because let's face it, things at the local level as well as the national level, our government spending, the activities of our government are putting pressure on everyday life. It's affecting your income, it's affecting the meals you eat every day. Just last show we had the tax assessor on. Decisions of your local government are affecting your taxes. It's affecting some people's ability to be able to live and sustain themselves. How would you like to be one of these people who you put everything you had into being able to live here because you like the area, or maybe this is your original home, and then now all of a sudden you have your taxes going to be rolled forward and just going to balloon. You're on a fixed budget, and now you can't afford to make your bills. Before it's all said and done, you're going to be up there in Benton and losing your property and filing bankruptcy or whatever. I mean, how would you like to be that person? I mean,
Yeah.
and it all comes down to that any one of us could be that person. And at the end of the day, it ends up being all of our faults because we didn't pay attention to the details within our local government. And, you know, you were saying something a while ago. You was talking about we focus on these politicians. And I was just having this thought today because that charter commission meeting really struck me because almost every single person that they sought to appoint on that commission, I know them.
Mhm.
And my thought process is how fast, and I'm not saying that anybody uh, I'm not saying anybody's done anything nefarious, but what I am saying is how fast any one of us will throw into the good old boy system just at the drop of a hat, and you put your self-interest ahead of everybody else's.
And I name some names, I'll rattle them off the top of my head.
We're not going to name names, but I'm just
Darn it.
saying it's striking to me how fast people will throw, their self-interest out there ahead of everybody else. And it just,
I agree.
anyway, we'll get into
All
that
right.
and we'll talk about that, but it's disgusting in my opinion.
All right, so I want to share another post out that we made earlier today, and it was a notice. It's on Facebook. It says everyone should be aware of the changes in the open meetings law, recent changes. Know your rights as citizens, and that your benevolent overlords should follow the law whether you own property, own a business, rent, work from home, retired. It doesn't matter. Do not let them intimidate you at meetings or on social media. They they chose to run for office, and like I said, thus should be held to a much higher standard in their official duties and capacities. And so we shared out that effective August 1st, 2024, Act 26 or 617 of the 2024 regular session, notice must be given to members of the public and the media who request notice to be given to them at the same time and in the same manner as notice is given to the members of the public body. So we encourage you, reach out to each public body that has some sort of jurisdiction over you and get on their email list. Some of them have a website where you can do that. I think is it the Secretary of State or somebody's supposed to be setting up a consolidated state website for all this. But until then, if not, reach out to the Secretary. For instance, the Charter Commission would be Sandra Morehart. So reach out to her, send her an email, let her know you want on the mailing list, and make sure that they send you all the mailings. Do the same for the City Council. Do the same for the police jury, the school board, the fire districts. All of them fall under this law.
Yeah, because if you don't, you know what your notice is? Your notice is they tape a piece of paper to the door of City Hall. And if you happen to by chance 24 hours before the meeting notice that paper on the door, you'll know about the meeting.
That would pretty much be the only way. All right. One other thing. Well, no, I'm going to skip that point. Let me check my notes here. Go ahead.
Well, you got to go to cut 10. I mean, if that's where you want to start, and this Viva Voce, this French stuff you're trying to pour
Viva
on me
Las
tonight,
Vegas.
you're giving me problems. I gotta. So what is this? How does this apply to the law? I'm dying to know here.
Okay, so this is from the either the legislative auditor or the AG's open meetings, frequently asked questions. The legislative auditor's office, the attorney general's office, heck, I think even the Secretary of State puts out virtually the same frequently asked questions. They just tweak it a little bit for their various or respective branches of government or offices. Anyway, so the question is, are public bodies required to vote in any particular manner? According to revised statute 4214, the answer is yes, members must vote viva voce. This requirement has been determined by the AG to require the physical presence of the members and prohibits submission of votes in writing by absent members. Let's see, or through telephone. Further, members are not allowed proxies unless specifically afforded this right by specific statute. And this is interesting, may not undertake voting by secret ballot. Remember that,
Well,
folks.
I'm just wondering here, but I don't know. Can anybody watching the show, can y'all remember seeing anybody ever vote in an open public meeting, voting by secret ballot? I
Hmm.
mean, do
Hmm.
y'all know that?
Has
It makes
anybody ever encountered that?
it makes one wonder why they even have open meeting laws if you can vote by secret ballot on things.
Well, look, I'm just gonna say that's got to be maybe some 30s, 40s, 50s era stuff where they had secret meetings and when they were trying to keep black folks from being able to vote and be able to keep them from being able to have a voice in meetings. Surely you must be talking about some type of meeting way back then. Surely it can't be
Okay.
recent.
Okay. Well, I got a question. This is a trap question.
Oh,
So you said that's what they did to keep black folks from voting. I mean, what if a black person votes and stuff like that? And does
oh,
participate in that?
well, that
Um,
presents a quandary. Hmm. That
oh,
throws a
interesting.
wrinkle in it. Throws a wrinkle in my theory. Gosh darn it, Duke.
I know. I did. I did it. Anyway, so let's keep going.
Okay.
Let's get through this. Where are we going?
Look, we're just flying by the seat of our pants tonight. The Viva Voce requirement can be satisfied through use of electronic machines that display how individuals vote. We see this in the city council. They take a vote, they display it on the screen, and it shows the name of every person that voted on a particular ordinance or resolution. Um, let's see. AG opinion number 11/0070 provides this office has previously opined that the Viva Voce language in 4214 requires a vote with a live voice and that the person voting must be physically present. Thus, the members of a public body cannot validly authorize an action via a written vote, even if done unanimously. The Viva Voce requirement also precludes voting by a show of hands alone. So you gotta be there. You gotta do your voice vote. The only real kind of exception is, for instance, using an example, at the city council, when they vote, they display it immediately on the screen. But if the technology fails, then they do a voice vote immediately. So I'll give the city council credit. And that's your hint that the secret ballot maybe wasn't at the city council. And speaking of the city council, we have been on them so long, it's almost like they're being a distraction to keep us from paying attention to the Bossier Parish Police Jury and the school board.
But I think that's all right because I think it's the other way around. I
Hmm.
think they're keeping up with us.
Uh, yes, they are. That is a perfect segue because I want to show this off. Do you know we are being stalked?
Well, I could see you being stalked, but I can't believe anybody wants to stalk me.
We are in rarefied air as of about sometime around 1 o'clock this afternoon. Today, this is breaking news. We are one of only 10 organizations or groups or entities that the Bossier Parish Police Jury actually follows. We got the Facebook notification. The police jury is following little old us.
Now, I have to admit, I am proud of that. And you know why I'm proud of that?
Why would that be?
Because if you look down there, and I'll direct, all of y'all watching, if you look down in the bottom right corner
Ooh.
and you see that, Jim Wells.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Wells is the guy that started, he's the guy that started this thing here in Bossier.
He's the man, or was the man. God rest his soul.
My Bossier. It was
Yes.
my Bossier.
The My Bossier
Yeah.
blog. And
Good stuff.
he initiated a whole lot of conversations back in the day, without a doubt.
No doubt.
So,
Well, that's good to know that they're following us and they're watching
hey,
us, and that's
look,
okay. We'll be on you soon enough.
so not just that, let me put up another screenshot. I don't think we talked about this one last show. Maybe we did, but did you know that Keel finally mentioned us? I mean, we're sitting on cloud nine here now. The legit media has mentioned one of our statements. They actually mentioned us by name. Have we talked about this yet?
I know. I keep wanting to say Robert and Aaron, but Mike and Aaron. I mean, look, the fact that they recognize us, yeah, I love it.
Yeah. I mean, they literally finally said our name. It's like they didn't want to say our names because it'd be like the Beetlejuice thing. I don't know. Anyway, kudos to Keel for keeping up with the term limit stuff and finally acknowledging that we're here after 4 years.
Yeah.
Although I got to pick on you for a minute. You've done several interviews with Keel over various things.
Yeah, I have, but it wasn't pertaining to Bossier Watch. Never ever about Bossier Watch and any of the thing that we reported but we've never asked or anything like that. But
yeah, I'm picking on them a little bit, but we're glad that they did mention this because we have quoted them many times on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I always give them credit.
Yeah. All right. Let's try to kind of follow our notes, even though I don't have it listed on the screen. But let's tax assessor follow up, or you got something else?
Yeah, let's get to the tax assessor and let's start rolling through it because I think everybody's probably ready to get to the meat and potatoes of what happened at the council meeting and the charter commission meeting. I think let's do the follow up on the tax assessor, then let's go through the charter commission, and then let's hit the city council meeting.
Okay, sounds like a plan. So here's what we're showing off tonight on our show that we have with Bobby Edmiston, who of course is the Bossier Parish tax assessor. That has got an incredible number of views. This is just the post impressions from where we put it up announcing it. I don't know why, but it went nuts. I mean, we had 399 comments, not on the show, just on the post that we were going to have the show. We had 600 comments during the show. And most of them were good quality comments. I mean, people were asking quite a few questions. So if you hadn't watched that one, go back and watch that show. We'll also say that Bobby reached out and said that he would like to probably, if everybody's willing, do a follow-up maybe here in a few weeks and make sure that, everybody's got their questions answered and all that sort of thing. So we may try to plan that out. But look at that. Our post reach was 22,247. That's like nearly a third the population of Bossier City.
Now, there's a couple of follow-ups. Of course, my lovely bride, the food police, says it was the follow-up speaker in the Acadiana mortgage.
It was. They were all waiting on Miss Kara to give us some mortgage implication advice. And she did a fine job of it, too.
And she did, and I hope people listen to what she said because you don't want your escrow account sneaking up and biting you, in which it's probably going to sneak up and bite a lot of people.
Probably so. I'm going to try to take Kara's segment and break it out into its own standalone video, and I'll post that just so, some new people can maybe see it that have since, followed us since that show and all that sort of thing as well.
Yeah, because that's not something that anybody wants to take for granted and let, sneak up on you and then you get behind and you be in a bind. But during that show, on the follow-up thing with the tax assessor and Bobby, I was pressing him on a question about, okay, if my assessment has increased, tenfold, I mean, how are you saying that my taxes are not going to go up? There's no way. He kept saying, well, no, it's not for sure. Well, he sent an email afterwards, a day or two later after the show, and basically he said, your taxes are not going to go up unless, and correct me if I'm saying this wrong, he said, the taxing authorities have the ability to roll the taxes back to meet what the taxes were the previous year. Correct. And if they roll them forward, they're rolling them forward to what the new assessment and the taxes would be. That would be the rate, and your taxes are going to go up. So go ahead.
Well, I was going to say the only caveat to that is it's the roll forward and backward. And I'm probably going to butcher this. Is on the year prior. All right. And that's how they come up with that. So that, for instance, if new businesses have come in the year prior, then the taxing authorities are able to realize those taxes, but the reassessment or the roll forward and backward is on anything the year prior plus any new businesses or new construction or new buildings in that year.
But the point he was making is that your local taxing authorities have that decision to make. So if you guys don't, if you want to pay, if you don't want it to go up, you should, you know, call your elected
Mhm.
officials, the benevolent overlords that don't want to hear you and don't want to let you speak, like in Bossier. Um, those are the people you need to say, hey, I don't want you to roll my taxes forward. I want you to roll them back, to
Right.
match it.
Yeah.
That's the moral of the story.
Yeah, you got, look, folks, and we talked about this ad nauseum on the show. I've talked about it in the comments. I've talked about it on the phone to a bunch of people, Duke. I'm sure you have too. And Lord knows how many conversations Bobby's had to have every year that they do an assessment. But the fact of the matter is, Bobby's office is only responsible for their millage. I think he said it was about 3 mills. All
That's
right.
right.
The Bossier Parish School Board is the number one taxing authority in the parish. And then you have the city, you have all these various fire districts, the Cypress District, all these other bodies. They're the
Sheriff's
ones,
office.
the sheriff's office, they're the ones that set their millage rates. Bobby assesses the property. He doesn't even collect the taxes. That will be the sheriff's office. So,
Bossier City. All those taxing authorities are the ones that you need to be bending their ear. You need to
right,
be talking to them. I mean, it's
light them
not
up.
Bobby, it's them.
Right. Light them up. Now, if you have, and I'll just mention this and we'll start moving on. If you have a question about your assessment, if you think your house isn't worth what it was assessed at, call Bobby's office. They're more than happy to talk to you about it. And if you need some advice on how this is going to impact your mortgage, call Kara because she's more than happy to talk to you about that. Okay. Anything else?
One more point on that before we move on. Now, you and I had someone reach out to us and say that Texas taxes and what we have here in Bossier are not comparable, that what we have here in Bossier is higher.
Hmm.
And I took that with a grain of salt, because that's a pretty steep claim. I would have you to know that I had somebody totally unrelated to that person, an additional person, doing some comparables that made the same claim to me, that their Texas taxes on equivalent values were less. I don't know how that's possible, but
Hmm.
it's one thing if it was one person, but I've done had another additional person come to me and say that.
Really? Isn't that interesting? Well, I'm no authority on that, but we need to get, I guess, some better data and numbers to see if that might actually be true. I want to point out one thing, and I keep saying the Bossier Parish tax assessor, and Kara has said he is the assessor, not the tax assessor. I agree, but he is assessing the values of the property. And down here at the bottom of his page, it says copyright 2024 Bossier Parish tax assessor. All right. So,
So the Charter Commission meeting. Now you've got, I think you've already covered that. House Bill
well,
466, Stephanie Hilferty's bill.
uh, yes, we kind of mentioned it, but let me go ahead and let me pull up that article real quick, and let's just do a little bit more in depth. Hold on just a second. Let me do a little clicking around here. All right, let me share my screen out again. Okay, and y'all may not see this whole page. Let me see if I can kind of reorganize this deal a little bit. Hold on, give me just, oh, that's not right. Okay, my software is not playing nicely. Hold on. All right, here we go. Anyway, there's an article. We'll share this out. I've shared it in some of the comments, but anyway, about public meetings in Louisiana requiring the notices, which we mentioned earlier. And if you go down and read this article, it goes pretty in depth. It's the Louisiana Illuminator. I don't know. Some of their articles are so-so, but they do a good job here. And they've got several links to various email addresses and other articles that you can read. So we will make sure and try to share this out in the comments as well. And later on after the show. All right, enough of that.
Yeah. So let's start off with the Charter Commission meeting that took place yesterday. Now, I will tell you that it caught me off guard. I got a message during the day that said, "Hey, you know they're having a Charter Commission meeting?" Nope, sure didn't. And by the time I knew about it, it was too late for me to be able to make it. But there were a few folks that made it,
All right.
and
I
they
actually went to it.
you did as well too.
Yeah.
So I am
All
not
right.
in live review. Go ahead.
That's okay. Let me get the screen pulled up here. Like I said, I am not firing on all cylinders, but here we go. I think this should be the deal. Whoops. Somehow I have to play Chase Duke around with the camera. There we go. All right. Well, the first thing was we got there, and I was there. Actually, I was there a few minutes early, I think, but we sat and twiddled our thumbs for almost an hour. And you know
What do you
why?
mean? What do you mean you sat and twiddled your thumbs for an hour?
Literally. I mean, we sat and twiddled our thumbs out. I wish I'd have brought my laptop or something or iPad so I could have watched Netflix.
Well, why would you do such a stupid thing?
Well, because as you can see, the first hour, you can kind of see me scrubbing through the bottom of this a little bit. The first hour of this thing literally was waiting on Miss Wilhite to get to the meeting. Have you ever been to a meeting where they waited an hour on you?
Never. No.
I mean, I know why they did it, because they needed to have their quorum to get anything done. But, and I guess she's a nurse and had whatever, they announced that during the meeting, so I'm not sharing anything that wasn't shared publicly. So, I understand she probably had stuff to do. I mean, people have lives beyond all this kind of stuff, but they waited an hour. And then it was supposed to be 45 minutes. And then at the 45-minute mark, it's going to be 10 or 15 more minutes. It's almost like they were trying to see if they could wait us all out and hope we would all leave. Yeah, Ruth Pope Johnson says 57 minutes to be exact.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. But that should show you how motivated they are, and I'm going to say it, to defeat term limits. That's how motivated they are.
I want to point something out though. So this is the 44-minute mark in the video, because in the stream, if you watch the stream, you've got to scrub all the way up there, slide the little deal across to the 44-minute mark. That's when the IT people turned the video back on, because, well, they expected Wilhite to be there any minute now. And of course she wasn't. But I want you to see something here. This is almost comical. What's the little princess doing over there?
Look like she's on her phone.
Oh, yeah. Huh. Isn't that interesting? Okay.
Seems to be a common theme, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that here in just a minute.
All right, so you have to go all the way up to, let's see if I can find, oh, there they are. Looks like
54-42-007.
Yeah, I know. I'm just the 52-minute mark. Everybody's still sitting there. La 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 la. Here we go. Okay. I'm going to the first mark. Finally, Wilhite arrives. Here we go. I saw her zooming through the park.
All right. I think we're going to go ahead and get this started. So thank
All
you for
right,
coming
we
to
can
the
get it
Bossier City
started.
Hey,
Charter
yo,
Commission
let's
meeting.
get the party started.
We will start with a roll call. Ms. Parks? Here. Ms. Whitman?
Here.
Mr. Jeter?
Present.
Ms. Wilhite?
Present.
She's out of her. She was zooming through the parking lot, and I'm sure running through the parking lot. But again, I want to state, nobody waits an hour for a meeting unless you're trying to do something underhanded, like make sure you got a damn quorum so that you can get your agenda done that you really want to have done, which is kill term limits.
So Rex, let me ask you a basic question. So in all formal meetings, what are the first things you do in your formal meetings?
Well, generally you would say a prayer, say the pledge, I mean, that's like every meeting I've ever been to.
Well, what do y'all think if I said that they were like getting after it and they weren't even going to do any of that? They were so eager. To get moving. They just decided to hell with it. We're just going to skip saying the prayer.
Oh, now surely you're kidding, Duke. I mean, it's had to have been just a little pause while she was catching her breath.
Look, you know us, we twist things up. So go to the 55-50 mark and let's let the video, tell the tale itself as to whose idea it was to even say a prayer.
Yeah, we need to do the invocation at this meeting.
Oh, I thought they removed all of that. I didn't realize
I thought they removed all of that.
God out of the Charter Commission meeting.
Well, I mean, I thought we took God out of everything, but
yeah,
who's counting?
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out, Sandra. Yeah, no,
Richard
no,
Ray,
they
good
didn't
job.
take it out. Yeah, we'll have to give credit where credit's due. Thank you, Richard Ray, because they need all the prayers they can get.
At least we've got one God-fearing person there.
Boy, I have so many comments I can make for that, but I'm trying not to bully politicians and bureaucrats tonight. I'm really, really, really trying.
I see David Johnson in the comments, and he says Mr. Jeter set it straight.
Yes.
Good grief, David Johnson. Jeter ain't going to set nothing straight.
No.
Jeter just enabled the good old boys to have another life.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even realize it.
The very fact that he's there, by definition, means he didn't set it straight. He's literally plugged in with them.
Yeah. I mean,
anyway, maybe he's talking about the prayer. He set them straight and did a nice job in the prayer. But I gotta say, I'd be more of the Jesus and the money changers and flipping over the tables and fashioning my own whips, so to speak, to beat the hell out of all of them. Virtually speaking, of course. Biblically speaking, of course.
So there was a lot in this meeting, and they had some public comment on amending the agenda. They made a few motions to amend the agenda, and then if you jump to the 106 mark, Sandra Morehart clarifies that the public can only speak about the amendment, and that comment period on the agenda will be available later. And there's a reason that I'm kind of saying that and putting this out there or whatever, but there were people wanting to speak, and it was unclear on whether people were, the public was getting the opportunity to talk about the amendment to the agenda, or whether they were getting to talk about the agenda itself. The agenda was an important issue in this meeting because the agenda was not accurate. In fact, they had things voted on that weren't on the agenda, which last I checked, for you to take action on stuff, it has to be on the agenda.
Well, yeah, but those pesky rules and Robert's rules, who wants to read all those rules? Oh, and by the way, I did put it in live review, so you can hit play when you want to.
No, I got you. So the 110 mark, Alice Boyer. Now, she had a really great comment, and I think that would be probably the jumping off point where we ought to let's play that and let's listen to what Alice Boyer had to say to the commission.
Okay, here we go.
I'm going to go ahead and say what I was going to say. My name is Alice Boyer, 5041 Highway 80, Houghton, Louisiana. and before there's any disparaging remarks made about the location of my address, I want to say that this is a public meeting. That means the public can attend and make comment. It doesn't matter where a person lives. And I also want to say is that I actually live within the Bossier City Metropolitan Planning Commission District. And until somebody tells me that that is not relevant, I think I will keep attending those meetings. So, because it's
Excuse me, can I get you to move your microphone down just so we can hear you? Thank you.
Oh, now she's picking on short people.
I am glad about the change in the agenda. I want to say that. I also,
Love you, Miss Alice.
now I kind of got lost my train of thought, but I wanted to address the thing about the disparaging remarks that's been made to a number of people here about their addresses. Because whatever the Bossier City does is going to eventually, at some point, annexation, you never know, but their decisions that are being made by that council is going to somehow affect me in some future date, whether, because the Metropolitan Planning Commission at some point will apply their authority out there too. I'm not in Houghton, I'm in Bossier City. So that's been a little bit of a thing about the comments that have been made. I did have a question about when I was looking at the agenda, so I would like to at least ask is that of the discussion of edits reviewed and actions taken on this agenda that was established, I'm just wondering how many of those items were actually previously approved and are being readdressed, and which ones are just edits, which I think I may have answered my question because I see where it's edits. And the only thing that there aren't any edits on is the consensus items and the term limits. So it seems to me that this is actually being totally, something that has already been approved is being readdressed.
Just wait for it.
Is that the only item in that list that's going to be readdressed that has already previously been approved? I'm kind of curious for future, since this is all going to be passed to a later date,
Now, this is important.
as far as how many of these items are
Ms.
previously
Wilhite is going to
approved
chime in
and are
here.
now trying to be overturned, and which ones are just edits to stuff that's been in the works.
Madam Chairman, I think I can probably, let me try to address that. Ma'am, in the drafts that we've been working through for many months, we
Right.
have little bubbles out here. You may have one that say
Little
edit number,
bubbles.
whatever.
Right, right.
We just have those identified. Even prior to this version, there were what we called edits, and they had numbers on them, the same thing. There's a consistent numbering has been done. Like under item 41A, the consensus items, from memory, I think that was 55 unique items that had numbers.
Right, I'm
And so-
seeing that relationship, the correlation.
So
to it.
just the fact that it says edits on the agenda doesn't mean that that's different than the consensus items. We
guess-
were just noting them as edits.
Okay, are there any of the items that are in 41A through J and
Okay, here we go. 8 seconds out.
A through Q that are
Pay
actually
attention.
were previously approved items that are being
4 seconds. Pay
readdressed
attention.
versus some that have been?
I'll answer that.
Here we go.
We started with the original charter. And from the last time that it was addressed, and I don't know what,
20 years ago.
yeah, it's been a hot minute. So we started at the beginning. We voted in one of our meetings to not vote on edits until the very end. We went through every single section. We had people come, if it was finance, we had them come from the city. If it was Parks and Rec, we had them come, we asked questions. Nothing was voted on, but in one previous meeting, I was not attending and some other people weren't attending, it was decided that there was a vote on the term limits.
Okay, and that's the only item?
Okay.
Nothing else has
Stop
been
it.
voted
All
on.
right, yeah, I'm gonna stop it right there. So
No- nothing else has been voted on.
Yeah,
You heard that, right?
which actually, if I remember correctly, you may have it in here. I just hadn't looked. Richard
do.
Gray actually corrected her on that.
Well,
There was a
I did-
statement made that other things had been voted on. It was later on in the comments. I can't remember that, but go ahead with what your
Well,
point is.
Well, I'm fixing to correct it. If you'll go to the notes and you will go to the next replay video, which will be the 6/10 of 24 Charter Commission meeting. You know, Ms. Wilhite just said that there were no votes, right? So if you'll get that meeting ginned up.
All right, let's
I need to-
see. That's under the Miss Wilhite says they only add. All right, let me copy
Yes.
that link. Yes. And what's the timestamp?
Go to the 20319.
Okay. Bear with me just a minute, folks. I told y'all I wasn't firing on all cylinders this evening. Okay. And I'm going to put that in live review as well. Let's see. All right, let me switch screens back. All right, the two, give me the 203 mark. Okay. Yep, here we go. All right, right here. All right, shall I play it?
Yep, hit play.
Period of time. And so if we had a mayor that had a similar circumstances and could not perform the duties of the mayor for a significant period of time, then we must fill that position.
So do you all feel comfortable in handling 45 and 46 as one issue?
I would suggest that you handle them separately, but it's at
We
the,
can do it, and can I get a motion from anybody regarding issue 45?
Go ahead. I move that we, that on issue number 45, that in the absence and the vacancy of a position of mayor, the special meeting should be called as the language as written in section 45C, the alternative version be accepted by this commission.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Jeter. Do I have a second?
Hey,
Second.
wait. It sounds like they're kind of voting on other stuff.
Is there any public comment regarding?
You think that-
issue,
are you sure that's
edit number
voting?
45?
I'm not so
regarding
sure.
the
Are you sure?
transition for the president
I mean,
of
Miss
the
Wilhite just said they didn't take no votes.
Well, I would like to point out the obvious that unless she's sitting out there with us in the crowd, or I can't remember if I was at that meeting or not, well, she wasn't there. So she obviously didn't do her homework and go back and watch this meeting. I mean,
yeah, well,
am I wrong? This was the June the 10th meeting.
well, I think we need to keep playing here. I mean, play it. Let's see.
All
Do
right.
they vote or do they not vote? Or are they just talking about voting? Or are they
the
teasing
city council
everybody?
working as taking over for the mayor. All right, any comments from the members of the commission? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Aye. Anyone opposed? Any abstentions?
So Preston, we did not have comments from the audience.
I did.
Yeah, he did.
I did.
We did.
Yes, ma'am. All right, that does 45. Do I get a motion for somebody to talk about, to handle 46?
All right.
Dealing with the
All right. Now
vacancy.
jump to the 228:51 mark.
See, here we go. Stay with us, folks. There's a method to the madness.
As it relates to
bouncing
this,
ball here.
we have a motion and a second. Thank you for
Oh,
the
wait a
public
minute. A
discussion.
motion
Any
and a
of the members
second.
of the commission wish to make a comment? Thank you, Mr. Jeter, for your comment. All those in favor of Ms. Park's motion say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye. Nay.
One vote against, and any
Oh,
abstentions.
they're voting
And
again.
motion passes.
Okay.
All right.
Well, let's go to the.
That's
We're
edit
already
number
there.
28.
Stand by. Let it play.
This time,
All right.
Mr. Chair, I would like for us to move to the term limits for the mayor and council.
All right. So flip over to the second page. It's edit items 1, 3, 7, 12, 13, 16, 33, 35, 37, and 40, dealing with the term limits of the mayor and the city council. And I think we have several alternative versions. Mr. Ray, I know you love being put in the limelight, but would you kind of give us a general highlight as it relates to term limits?
Did you speed that up or
regarding
did I?
both the mayor in
I
version
did.
A and
Okay.
the city council in our different versions?
Richard, before you jump in there, I would like to make a suggestion that edit number 1, I feel like that's something.
Okay. So let me clarify here what we got going on here. This is the meeting. You know, Miss Wilhite said that there was one meeting. They didn't vote, but then there was one meeting where an issue was brought up and was voted on.
Term
And
limits
that's
only,
just
right?
not, That's just not true. And this isn't the meeting they're talking about. It's not
Right.
this one. It's
Yeah.
that she's talking about. It's the meeting where they passed term limits. But in this meeting, term limits was not passed. In fact, it was voted down. And it was voted down because Lee Jeter voted against it.
Oh, that was that show where we called him a Benedict Arnold.
That's exactly right. And then Lee Jeter again yesterday just voted to enable, and he probably doesn't even realize it. No, that's not true. He's not a dumb
That's
person.
not true. No,
He
he's not.
realizes it, that he enabled them to get their fifth vote to do whatever they wanted to be able to stop term limits. Lee Jeter did that. He
It's
enabled that.
almost as if he's riding the fence and hedging his bets.
Or he's after something else. I don't know. What is Lee Jeter's motivation? Because all Lee Jeter had to do was just not show up. But for some reason, the first time an opportunity to affect term limits, Lee Jeter kills it.
Right.
Then, this here to prevent term limits from being stopped, or one of the methods of stopping term limits, what does Lee Jeter do? He enables the anti-term limits people to have a majority to do whatever they want to do.
And Lee,
Lee Jeter,
you're welcome
Lee
to come
Jeter
on the
did
show.
that.
You have both our phone numbers. It's not a problem. Hey, I want to put this question up here from David Leslie. Says, does anybody really believe that politicians are going to vote to term limit themselves? The general public will. However, laugh out loud. However, politicians who want to keep their jobs. Now, I will say this, David, I am 100% confident that Chris Smith and Brian Hammonds will vote to limit themselves. The rest of them, not so much, obviously.
Well, Chris Smith and Brian Hammonds have voted to do exactly that, and Tommy Chandler has stood up there and he's held his
Yes.
own and said, "I'm going there." I made it. It was a campaign promise. I'm doing it.
Yeah,
And
he absolutely has followed through with what he said. Dee White Clark, is there a lawsuit about this yet? About which issue, Dee? There have been several lawsuits. Let us know.
Yeah, there's a lot of legal things going on. We will get to that. Let's get through this.
Okay. Oh, one more question. Hold on.
Okay.
Why are the members' name not visible to the public in video participation live streams? Now, it's kind of a technical thing. They're in the city council chambers, and so the city council members' names are not really visible in the video, but they're up there. But obviously, they're not going to change those nameplates out just for the charter commission. Okay, just wanted to get that technical point in.
So one of the things there's 140 to 150 people watching, and some people say, like, why do you say that? Why do you keep doing that? Because the reason I say that is it's not bragging or whatever. It's because I want Juliana to know, and to, the good old boys that are watching, to how many people in Bossier are paying attention and watching this. And, those 100 and something people are continuing this message on.
Yeah. And that usually translate within 24 hours to about 3,000 to 4,000 views or plays. Let me rephrase that. They might not play the whole show.
And then in last show to 22 something thousand, or to that effect. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Off topic, squirrel. So Shane Cheatham in this meeting is bringing up the term limits issue. You just saw Will Hite was saying in yesterday's meeting that they, only had one vote, but we just showed you where they were voting on multiple different things regarding the charter. Shane Cheatham brings up the term limits thing. They end up voting, and all of them, they voted it down. And Lee Jeter was the deciding vote to vote down term limits. So let's keep playing. We're right there. I'm about 1:27 from where I need to be, but let's just let it run through to a point I want to make for everybody right here to pay attention to.
Okay.
That probably should be voted on after we hit some of the other areas of that. I know that's just changing where it says members of the city council shall be eligible for reelection. Wouldn't that be something that we would vote on after we've decided if there's going to be any changes?
The reason that's in there, Mr. Cheatham, is that that just gives us a version that has no changes. So that's what's in the current charter. It just says members shall be eligible for reelection.
Okay, so that's,
So that's status quo, no change. That's why there's just different versions, and so,
but I guess my
Okay.
question to that
Y'all
says shall.
Watch Juliana.
And I believe that I've heard over the months and
Watch
maybe years of
Juliana.
talking about term limits, that one of the issues is should that say may be eligible for
Stand
reelection?
by.
well,
Based upon if we move forward with some sort of term limits?
the.
Talking about term limits. Watch
The wording that
Juliana.
you're looking at in 3.01B is exactly the way it is now.
Oh,
It
what is
says
she
under the
doing?
current Charter, members of the city council shall be eligible for reelection. So it's just.
Gosh, I wonder who
that's
she
just
could be
leaving it
texting.
alone. I
Okay.
mean, I'm
Who
not
could she
saying
be
that
talking to?
there shouldn't be
What are
discussion
they
of a
telling
change.
her?
That just gives you
Yeah.
a version that is no change at all.
And this is
Talking
going to be
about
more,
the
It's just a way to have a.
it's going to be more
highlight something
relevant
To say,
when we
this
show
version A is.
or get
no
back to
change,
the current
no term
meeting.
limits, what it is currently. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And maybe I'm not understanding the
Still on her
question, but I
phone.
just want to make it clear that that's not anything that is changed.
Maybe
That
she's
just
ordering pizza.
Currently, the
Yeah,
city council
probably so.
members
She's ordering
shall be
pizza.
eligible for reelection. They are. They're, they don't have to put themselves up for reelection, and they don't have to be elected, but they shall be eligible. That's just what's
Probably on
currently.
Pandora
That makes
trying
sense.
to figure out some new hip hop
So
music she
version
wants to have
A-
for a ringtone.
Version
Yes,
A
are
leaves
we
it the same with no changes
Probably
at
that
all.
new,
Now,
probably
if
that
we
new
talk
Let's
about
Go
when you say
Party
term
song or
limits,
something.
it's, mayor and the council.
Still on
So
her phone.
just
Correct.
Chronologically, are we going to start with chapter 3 with the council?
Yes.
Okay. Correct. So version A that's in there at page 5 with the council is the way it is now. Just members can be eligible for reelection. Version B is,
She's doing the
and
work.
I'm
of the
only
city.
going to address, I mean, we probably need to talk about some of these other edits as far as the at-large districts, but if we're only dealing with the term limit issue, then under version B, it's essentially term limits. It would, members of the council shall be eligible for reelection, except that no person shall be eligible for election to the office of city council for more than 3 terms. The limit on the term shall apply to any term of service that begins on or after July 1, 2025.
I guess I should have
So
marked the end of
version
this.
B would be.
We're going to torture everybody with
3
listening to
4-year terms
Richard.
For city
I'm
council
about to
members,
fall asleep.
but no
Richard.
retroactivity to that.
Come on,
Anyone
Richard, stop.
currently serving or is serving in the future. would-
Speed him up. Put
would be
him on like
eligible for
time and a
3
half.
terms
Would
beginning.
she please get
July
off her
1,
phone?
2025. That's version B. Version C is members of the city council shall be eligible for reelection, except no person shall be eligible for election to the
Okay.
office for more than 3 terms, and said term limit applies
That's
to
it,
all who held
Richard.
office, past and present. So version C would be
He just won't
term
stop.
limits
So
of
let's.
3 terms, 3 4-year terms, but it would apply to anyone who
She's
has held
still
office
on
for
her
any term in
phone.
office or held at any time in the past. So
We're
any
at
terms
2.5
prior to
times
passage of
speed.
this, which this is on the ballot, it would be in December, it would be effective, assuming the voters adopted it, and there would be no terms beyond that.
I mean, who is she talking to?
Version D is,
Wow.
that's when we get into 6-year terms for the at-large members, without retroactivity. That would be 4-year terms for the 5
Maybe
council
she
members,
had an
and then we would get
emergency
to
at her
4
house.
I'm sorry, 3 4-year terms for 12 years, and 2 at-large members would be elected for 2 6-year terms. and then
I
they
don't know.
would be
She
limited
shrugged
to
her
2 6-year terms
shoulders
for 12
there,
years.
actually.
And as the body recalls, that was one of those issues that was discussed.
Oh,
so that
now
each
it's
member would be-
stressful.
the District council members would be on a 4-year cycle.
She's
and the at-large
looking
would be
something
on a
up.
6-year cycle, so that it creates some overlap.
It's almost like somebody
So
might be
it's
sending
still
her
be 12
notes.
years, whether you serve 2 6-year terms as at-large or 3 4-year terms.
Yeah, or
as a
she's
district
reading
council,
it.
it's still 12 years.
Or,
That's what
I
we do.
mean, they're sending her communications, you know,
Oh,
to tell her what to say, or, you know, maybe she can't think for herself. I don't know. Maybe she needs an aide.
Maybe so. I got to turn this down. I can only take Richard so long.
That is correct. It should say with on E.
Okay, she put it
Oh.
down.
Finally.
Let me change the rate here just a little bit. She put it
I want
down,
to make sure everybody's,
And that's not, I mean, that's just a, you know.
and she
that's-
turns the page. Now
that's
she's
not
got to
anything that's
catch up.
operative, it's just a,
Mr.
but
Chair.
on E, it is
But
with retroactivity.
some people
and
would
the
say,
6-year terms for the at-large.
oh, she's making notes.
I wonder who she could have been texting. Again, maybe she was ordering pizza.
I mean, now I'm just wondering,
But Duke, we're picking on her.
y'all, the public, shouldn't we be able to know I mean, the author of the text, and the communication that she's receiving, shouldn't we be able to know? This is a public meeting. She's communicating. Shouldn't we be able to know of what relevance it is that the kid's having on her phone? Shouldn't we be able to know that?
Well,
What do y'all think?
Barry Butler says, since it's an open meeting, will she publish those notes? Well, we've already covered that subject, Barry, and there's a resounding no. It was actually covered in one of the Charter Commission meetings, remember? I mean,
But
I'm pretty sure I remembered the discussion on that, and they were shocked to know because Richard Ray basically said it was him that was being the stumbling block in the public information requests for those records.
I mean, but here's the thing. What do y'all think she thinks about you providing your communications and your information? What do y'all think she thinks? We know how kind of she thinks. She doesn't think that you have a right to anything that she says.
Wait, surely she would not set a double standard. I mean, again, that would look like we're picking on the little princess again. I got to say, we're just showing you what she's doing.
You're right. Well, while we're on this walk down memory lane, we're so close. I think we're going to jump up here to the 238 mark, and let's let Mr. Cheatham finish out his thought process right here on term limits. Okay. So here we go.
The floor.
Just, Richard, just to verify, version C, term limits on city council with retroactivity. That means if you've served 12 years, you are not eligible to run again. Is that correct?
Yes, the way that's written, yes.
Okay. At this time, I would like to make a motion that the Charter Commission adopts version C of term limits for the city council.
Now, let me make a clarification. Version C is an entire thing, so we just need to.
Correct. So-
Just on the term limits part that would be edit
Actually,
number 7.
I would be making the motion for that entire version, the edit 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Okay, so that includes the division of the at-large members into Division A and B. Term limits would be retroactive.
And that's fine, we just haven't, I mean, I know that we've discussed it as a group, but the other issue is that the at-large would be, currently they run against each other.
Correct. Under this version, it would be, you declare whether you're going to run for Division District A or District B.
That's correct.
Okay? So we have a motion on the table to adopt version C. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Seconded first. Motion by Mr. Cheatham, seconded by Mr.
All right. So Shane Cheatham makes the motion. He gets a second. They're fixing to put this thing to a vote. And let's jump ahead to the vote. If I can find it.
Uh-oh. And let's see, where are we? We're at the 239 mark. Cheatham adopt version C of term. Cronkite, Wes, Cassie, Richard Ray, Juliana Channels, Quinn David. We've already played that.
Well, anyway, needless to say, Jeter votes against it. And
yes. Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. Preston does the roll call vote at the 305 mark. Is that it? Let's play it real quick and see. Hold on.
Motion, which would be to adopt version C, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Well, I'm
we're
gonna
gonna do roll
call by
call.
a roll call vote. Good, you're getting ahead of me. All right, I know you're doing good. So, Mr. Cheatham.
Aye.
All right.
Juliana's
Mr.
on the
Jeter.
phone again.
Which
Mr.
way do I vote?
Johnson.
Which way do I
Aye.
vote?
Ms. Moorhart,
No.
Ms. Parks,
No.
Ms. Sumas, absent. Ms. Whitman,
No.
Mr. Wilhite, Ms. Wilhite, sorry. Ms. Wilhite, Lisa Wilhite, absent. Mr. Friedley, yes. The motion passes 4-3.
Okay.
All right?
So
We,
you can stop it. So I egregiously got the two backwards. That was the 6/10/24 meeting. But that even makes my point even more so. The fact that Miss Wilhite yesterday said that they didn't have any votes. Well, on 6/10, they not only had multiple votes on different items pertaining to the agenda, they also, that was the meeting that they voted on term limits. And if you go, Rex, into the notes, the 3/28/24 meeting, and I've got that replay up.
Okay. Give me just a second. I'm going to switch screens and 3/28/24. Give me just a second. All right.
This is
stay
like
with
a
us, folks.
puzzle putting
Yeah.
together for everybody. And
Right.
we apologize. It's hard, but if you follow along with us, you'll understand why we're doing what we're doing.
Yes, we got to set the context for everything. All right, so we're in live review mode of the 3/28 meeting.
Yeah, and at the 41:30 mark is where we want to go. So
And
let's go to
yeah, I got
41:30.
this.
I'm there.
Nay.
Nay.
That is correct. I'm for term limits. However, I do believe the terms should be staggered. And I believe I didn't come here not just to vote on term limits. I understand what the mayor, and I'm the mayor's appointee, but I've spent too much time going through this entire charter for us not to go ahead and make the full revisions to the charter.
Okay.
Which is, I think, what we need to do.
Mr. Johnson?
So
Mm,
Ms. Wilhite said, let's go back to the 8/26 and
okay.
let's play, if I can find it again, Wilhite's comments. We'll play it again. I got it.
The 114.
Yeah, 114. There we go.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna hit play.
I'll answer that. This, we started with this, the original charter. And from the last time that it was addressed, and I don't know what,
20 years,
yeah, it's been a hot minute. So we started at the beginning. We voted in one of our meetings to not vote on edits until the very end. We went through every single section. We had people come, if it was finance, we had them come from the city. If it was Parks and Rec, we had them come, we asked questions. Nothing was voted on. But in one previous meeting, I was not attending and some other people weren't attending, it was decided that there was a vote on the term limits.
Okay. And that's the only item?
Nothing else has been voted on. We've just made the edits. When we did vote on the editorial edits.
The
Everything-
consensus items.
Consensus item.
Yes, the
Everything,
consensus
let me
items.
clarify.
Okay.
On item 4.
Wait. Listen.
Everything under subparagraph 1.
Listen
has been
carefully
voted
right
on
here.
Already.
Everything under one has been voted for?
Yes, ma'am.
You heard what he just said.
Subparagraph 2
Well, wait
has
a
not
minute. She
yet.
just said it hadn't been.
Yeah.
Now
did
he's
y'all-
saying it had.
Now I gotta give credit to Richard Ray where it's due. He just corrected her. I mean, her egregious lie. You can't say, oh, she didn't know, because she may not have been at the meeting, but she has access to YouTube. She could have gone back and watched the meeting. She could have read the minutes of the meetings.
Well, look, I'm just wondering what everybody watching. Did y'all catch what we just showed you over the course of 3 meetings? We showed you one, the vote at a meeting where term limits was voted against. Lee Jeter voted against it. Did anybody have a problem with that vote?
I hadn't heard her speak up in a meeting since then about that vote.
I mean, then we showed you them voting on countless amendments to the charter. We showed y'all calling out the votes and doing the roll call, right? I mean, those were votes. We didn't even identify the different items. I mean, we didn't point those out. It didn't matter because there's a bunch, but they were voting on things. But she said they weren't voting. Then we showed you the vote. I mean, it wasn't in this order, but we showed, because I screwed it up and showed you that vote first. But then Shane made the motion to bring up term limits, and they voted for that first, and they voted for it. Then all of a sudden, you start getting complaints against the chairman, Preston Friedley, and he needs to be removed. That's when they passed term limits, it was okay to vote against things when it went one way, but when it didn't go your way, it was not okay no more. Had to start removing people.
Oh,
But
just
Miss
just
Wilhite,
why can't they just be consistent?
it's
Why
not
can't they
about
just?
consistency. It's
I
not
know
about
that
consistency.
it's a rhetorical question, but look, I can absolutely verify the way you are on this show is how you are in real life. And yes, we may plan certain things and all that, but we're pretty consistent in who we are. I'm the same on the show as I am in real life. If I'm an a-hole on the show, trust me, I am in real life. If I'm a nice guy, I am in real life. I'm just saying, why can't they be consistent and be who they really are? Not be, to use your term, some jackwagons just looking out for themselves. It just boggles my mind.
So let's go to the 820 or the 826 meeting, and let's get back
Okay.
on track here.
All right.
And let's
That's
jump to
where
the
we
one.
are.
Let's jump to the 127 mark. And look, guys, here's where we're getting into some un-American crap right here.
Wait a minute. You got to be careful. He's a retired Marine.
I mean, look, I got to tell you.
Say, he did say the Pledge of Allegiance at the beginning of this meeting. I was there.
Well, was it because Richard Ray demanded it, or otherwise would it have been okay? I mean, the prayer had to have been prompted by Lee Jeter. I mean, by Richard Ray. I mean, just so look, you guys be the judge. You tell me. I mean,
This is where the fireworks start.
When you start talking about different ways of limiting speech, do y'all expect somebody who has served in the military to be someone who would be okay with limiting the speech and limiting the public's ability to speak to their government? Do y'all think that that's the type of military? I mean, look, if it's a military in China or Russia, yeah, I could see wanting to limit, but
And
here in the United States,
we're not
come
talking
on.
about just limiting boisterous commentary either. Wait till y'all hear this. I was so mad sitting in that meeting. I wanted to say something to Lee right then. I couldn't believe what was coming out of his mouth. So
I don't even want to speak to him because
I don't either.
I
And Lee, you're welcome to come on the show and explain yourself right now, anytime. We'll do a special show. You got some splaining to do.
Lee Jeter won't come on this show. We have invited him to come on this show before. He won't come on this show. I mean, Lee Jeter has a motive for what he is doing, and it's not for what's in the best interest of Bossier City. I'm sorry, because Lee Jeter, he once voted against term limits, and he voted to enable the anti-term limits people to basically do whatever the hell they wanted to. You've done that, Lee Jeter, and
You're walking the fence and you suck at it.
What's more egregious is you're voting to limit an African American voting to limit speech. Think about that. Think about that.
That is a good point. Hey, Cody McKellar, who is in the audience, says, I will never understand how an elected official would deny a public vote on anything. There were more signatures on the petition than some officials got votes to get in office. Good point, Mr. Cody. Let's play it and see what Lee says.
Yeah.
I mean, enough of us talking about it. Here we go.
No citizens, according to the rules, can speak from a written document without the approval of this particular body. That
Papers, please. You got to check your papers in when you go through the metal detector and have everything approved. If you bring a pocket constitution in there, you can't read from that either.
I'm guessing that Lee Jeter if I wanted to bring the Bible in there and read a section about telling the truth or something to that effect, I guess Lee Jeter would want to approve that first. He needs to be able to.
It'd have to be the right version of the Bible. You're doing the King James, the what are the rest of them? Well, I'm drawing a total mind blank. Let me play that comment again.
No citizens, according to the rules, can speak from a written document without the approval of this particular body. That, you can't come up to this body with a 15-page dissertation on an issue and speak from that 15-page dissertation without the approval of this particular body. So what we want to do is...
I'm wondering, what would Lee Jeter say if we brought a document up there called the Louisiana Revised Statutes that use some stupid French language saving Viva Voce? I'm guessing he'd have a problem with that. And damn good and well, the lawyer down there on the end on the right ain't going to want you saying, oh, hey, us having secret ballots and having votes that are not open to the public, we don't want you pointing that out to the public, and we damn sure don't want you saying our names that we're doing crap illegal. No, you can't read that. I mean, is that what you're talking about, Lee Jeter? Is calling out crimes and legal stuff? We saw that in the council meeting today.
Yeah. Oh,
West
yeah.
Marriott.
Today's council meeting is off the chart.
West Marriott started naming names and they started shutting him down. It is communism. I mean, that's the only, it's censoring of speech. I think it's ironic on the day that Zuckerberg acknowledges that they were censoring speech regarding COVID and vaccinations, and as well as they censored, that the Hunter Biden laptop, when people would say that it wasn't disinformation, he acknowledged that they censored that in fact that it was outright lies. Right. I mean, so now you've got a group of citizens of Bossier City, our neighbors, people who are friends of a lot of people that watch this show, friends of ours. And these are our neighbors who have fell right in line with socialism, communism, and silencing their neighbor's speech. And they're perfectly fine with it. They're perfectly fine with it.
Do y'all now see the reason for the caricature for the show today? Do you understand why we did the communist deal? Let me play Lee's comment one more time. Hold on, and I'll get that queued up.
No citizens, according to the rules, can speak from a written document without the approval of this particular body. That, you can't come up to this body with a 15-page dissertation on an issue and speak from that 15-page dissertation without the approval of this particular body. So what we want to do is ensure that we're having rules that allow input of the public with respect to their charter, but also allow us to be able to conduct a business that we have been appointed by this governing body to be able to conduct and to be able to do it in a timely manner.
I just don't know what else to say. Greg Bell says the cartoon confused me since she is not holding her phone in it. I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, yeah, we're lingering here on the Lee Jeter topic because honestly, that's about as egregious as it gets. There is no doubt about it. I should have put a picture of Benedict Arnold in the background because we haven't even got to the princess yet. But now do you see why it's charter commies? I mean, it's not really an exaggeration. I can't believe Lee, I was sitting there in that meeting and I've had to listen to it over and over today, getting ready for the show and now hearing the show. I can't believe he said that.
And again, you have friends and neighbors that are throwing themselves and their names right into the mix of this to help these people do exactly what they want to do. And these people advocate that, they're limited government people, that they're against government, censorship and all. And they're freaking doing it themselves.
Right.
They're doing it themselves.
Now, let me ask y'all, and the commentary is great. We're still well north of 140, 145 people. Do y'all think we're bullying them on this show, or are our public officials and bureaucrats and appointed bureaucrats, are they trying to bully the public and we're just stepping in to kick the bully in the shins? Because that's how I see our platform here, and all of y'all commenting and all of y'all watching and sharing it out, is we're able to have a counterbalance to this kind of crap.
And the only balance here is that we're informing you. It only matters if you do something with it. That's not it. It doesn't matter unless you do something with it. And they're counting on the fact that you won't do anything with it. So let's keep going. I mean, look, the princess chimes in here. She's off her phone. Let's give her a chance to take a shot at some of this.
Okay. Yeah, let's go.
I would like to add that the Open Meetings Law, Louisiana Revised Statute 42:17 says that it talks about the rules for open meetings, and it says the provisions of this chapter shall not prohibit the removal of any person or persons who willfully disrupt a meeting to the extent that orderly conduct of the meeting is seriously compromised. So if there was some way to turn that into an additional rule, just to put the public on notice that we do intend to enforce that, and so any behavior that is considered it's clearly
Any behavior
disrupting a meeting to the extent that orderly conduct of the meeting is seriously compromised, that that is not allowed, which I know that's a little bit vague and all-encompassing, but it does.
Oh,
put
yeah.
Wait, listen.
members of the audience and the public on notice.
On notice. All y'all, as the tax-paying public, are put on notice that if she, Miss Queen Princess of Vagueness and Obfuscation, deems that you're being too obnoxious, you're out.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Good job.
Thank you. I do have a good moment.
Judge, jury, and convictor right there, all in one.
Yeah.
The princess.
So let me switch screens for a second, because I think I had the cut, but hold on, I may not have. Dang it, I may not have it.
We'll go back to that restream if you want. 134 mark. Richard Ray, he starts talking about the new communist agenda in Bossier, and he does a pretty good job about it.
All right, here we go.
Comment from.
Can I
Go ahead.
maybe ask a question and then make a point? This is in addition to the 3-minute rule that was adopted, or was that was addressed in there? 3-minute
Yes,
rule
3
that was already
minutes.
adopted
Number
back in
one.
February?
Each speaker will be given 3 minutes.
Okay, I'm sorry. The other thing is, Mr. Jeter, what I think I heard you say was you wanted to include in there a prohibition against people reading from a document, and I didn't hear that in the amendment or in the motion, but everything that I've heard so far, I think is permissible. Just generally, there was a lot of discussion at that last long meeting that we had, and there was some talk about free speech and First Amendment, and without getting too into it, I'm happy to get into it if we need to, but this is not what's considered a pure free speech forum. This is not someone on the sidewalk talking about.
Stop.
Like the Charlie Brown teacher.
He's saying this is not a First Amendment issue. I mean, I beg to differ. When somebody is up there talking about the First Amendment, for example, if they're saying, okay, we're talking about the First Amendment, I mean, because these yahoos are seeking to limit your speech. To say that you talking about the rights guaranteed are not practical or not germane to the discussion, that's ludicrous. Now, talking about abortion, yeah, abortion would not be germane to the subject. But when you start talking about the First Amendment, I'm sorry, I got to disagree. When these people up here are talking about affecting communist, limited speech agendas, and you talk and you're saying, well, wait a minute, now the First Amendment says this. Bull crap.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
is.
am I off base here? I mean, do y'all think I'm wrong?
Well, and now here's a question I got. And I'm going to kind of put the marshals on the spot because generally the city marshals have been very accommodating to everybody in the meeting, no matter which side of the fence you're on any issue. I wonder if she tried to demand somebody be ejected, I wonder what the marshals would actually do because they have an oath of office to follow also.
You're right, they do.
And
They
that
absolutely do.
oath supersedes the princess.
Well, we would like to all believe that our law enforcement folks would uphold their oath to the Constitution, not to these communist idiots. But I got to tell you, I wonder about some. There's some of them I have no question in my mind. I know exactly where they will fall, but there's some of them that I do wonder. But let's keep playing Richard's stuff here.
Okay. Yep. Here we go.
Or in Gaza or abortion or something where the government has certain rules. This is considered a limited speech forum, and it's a limited speech forum so that a meeting can be conducted. And that's one of the reasons why back when we started this process in January, February, whenever it was, it seems like it was 28 years ago, I begged the then chairman to adopt rules, and it didn't happen. And that's okay. I understand. I mean, we adopted Robert's rules and that was it, but that was, a meeting needs to have rules, and I think that what we've seen is that without them, we can have problems. But the rules have to be reasonable, and they have to be limited to what can be done in a limited speech forum. And one of the big things is that it has to be viewpoint neutral for these type of rules, and it has to be limited to the purpose of the forum itself. And I worry that prohibiting someone from reading, number one, even though it may seem like it, I'm not a good public speaker. If I have to speak, I'm reading from something generally. And I don't want people to feel uncomfortable that they can't read from something. But the other thing is if we have to get pre-approval of what they're reading, then it could be considered to be that it's not viewpoint neutral because we don't know what they have on a piece of paper. I just would not adopt that part of it. I didn't hear it in there, but I know that Mr. Jeter brought it up. I just want to address it.
I did not read it in there. I did say no granting of time to another speaker.
Oh,
Yeah, I think
can't
that's
tag
perfectly
team?
reasonable because that's not talking about the content of the speech or the
Hold,
viewpoint that could be
Juliana's.
expressed.
She's
just think
she's
that
getting amped up.
I would caution
Hold.
the body against adopting a
Here
rule
she
that would keep
comes.
someone from reading, even if
Here
they're
she comes.
reading something that was left up there. But as long as they don't read it for more than 3 minutes and it is within the parameters of the other rules, it's pertinent to whatever the item is.
Which it has to be addressing the agenda item.
Correct. Right.
As part of it.
But what I don't want to do is preclude something and ask for pre-approval was almost, I know that's not what Mr. Jeter meant, but that's almost what it sounded like. If they have to get approval from the body before they read something, I would just leave that
right.
out. It was left out. I just didn't want Mr. Jeter to
Here we go.
Here we go.
not have that addressed, and I would ask that just, everything that I've heard so far seems to be reasonable and viewpoint neutral, and I think would be reasonable.
All right, here we
rules.
go.
I just wanted to say that before the
Comrade
motion and
Parks is
before
warming up.
before we move on.
So I just want to point out before I hit play, she has had, the irony of this is she has had plenty of time to read her text messages and her notes from her coaches to come up with this diatribe. We're not picking on her. This is her in her own words.
I would like to comment on that, that, when someone stands up here and speaks, the presumption is that they are speaking from their own thoughts and beliefs. However, if they are reading from something that someone else wrote, I think that we should be entitled to know that and to have a copy of that, because it is relevant to the weight of it to us as a commission. It's just different if you're reading something out of a book or whether you're speaking something from your own. And I think that's relevant.
I agree with her.
In any setting.
I agree with her, Rex.
So if we can't
Wait a
ask
minute.
to see it beforehand.
Let it
would it
play. Don't
All
stop
right,
it.
all right, all right.
With seeing it afterwards,
Oh, wait, you have to turn in your homework.
having a copy of what they were reading from,
Yeah,
and
she-
asking them to state, whether they wrote it or what book they got it from. I mean, citing your sources is just basic.
It's basic. It's basic. I agree
feel
with her.
like-
Let it play.
I think if they read something in, it's in the record, it's on
Hang
the,
on.
there's a recording of
Okay.
it, there's a video recording, there's an audio recording, I would just leave it at that.
And I'd
Y'all
leave it at
think-
the agenda item.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's not
It's basic.
pertinent to
Well,
the
wait a minute.
agenda.
Okay, you can stop. Go
All
ahead
right,
and jump to
so-
the 141.06 mark. I mean, it's only 1 minute later. Just jump to the 141 mark.
All right, so y'all pay attention. Remember what she just said. Remember what she just said.
The things that I believe that you're really subject
is
to
she doing?
challenge.
What's she
And I'm
doing?
asking
Yeah.
one of you to vote
on
no
her
on
phone
this.
texting.
So you put it to a working group and think through what you're doing so you don't subject yourself to a First Amendment violation.
Who's
You
she-
can't
who's
restrict
she
a meeting to
communicating
30
with on the
minutes of
phone?
No doubt. And Wes, you're in the comments. Has she responded to the public information requests for her text messages yet? Wasn't that Wes that requested that, or did we?
I don't know. We may have. Wes probably did. We probably both did. I don't know.
She
But the
actually
point is
responded that yet?
she says that, I mean, maybe we need to play her words again, but she's citing your sources is just basic. I mean, she goes to her phone and she's texting on her phone. I think we should be able to know who's telling her what while she's in the middle of the meeting. I mean,
Let's hear this again. I'm going to turn it into a video. Hold on.
I would like to comment on that, that, when someone stands up here and speaks, the presumption is that they are speaking from their own thoughts and beliefs. However, if they are reading from something that someone else wrote, I think that we should be entitled to know that and to have a copy of that.
I
Because
agree.
it is relevant to,
I
it is
agree with her.
relevant to the
All
weight
right.
of it.
You got to clarify.
She's on the mark here. So Juliana should not, do y'all not all agree? She should not have any problems with disclosing who in every one of the Charter Commission meetings is texting her. And in some cases, they text her, she immediately goes to writing notes down on the piece of paper.
Right.
She's on the notes that is being used for the Charter Commission meeting. It's obviously relevant to the Charter Commission. So, and I have the video. So I'm just guessing, do you all think that in the spirit of transparency that Miss Juliana, you just heard her say, citing your sources is just basic. Do y'all think that she would cite her sources to us or to the public or to any citizen as to who's telling her what? Do you
Well,
think she would do that?
So Wes Marriott says she lawyered up, and hold on, but wait, there's more. This is the lawyer's statement to Wes Marriott. Says Juliana Parks objects to request number 5 on grounds that the request is grossly overbroad, as there is no reasonable limitation as to the recipients of any calls or text messages, nor any reasonable limitation as to the subject matter of any calls or text messages. Further answering, Ms. Parks does not have a phone paid for or provided by the City of Bossier, and the cell phone logs for the private phone of Ms. Parks are private, not public records. Au contraire, when they're used for public duties, those messages have been ruled in the courts to be public records.
But there's video of her texting on her phone and immediately writing notes down, it's obvious that it just come from her text. So, but her own words, I mean, we're picking on her again. So there's 150 of y'all watching. Some of you like us, some of you don't. Some of you are hooties of Miss, you know, Comrade Parks. And y'all just heard her say citing your sources is just basic. And that Juliana, she said herself that, what you're reading and that it's relevant to know whose communication it is. Don't y'all all agree with her?
Yeah.
Don't y'all? I mean, she said it herself, but why is it that she is exempt from what she expects of the public? Why is that? I'm please, one of y'all, by all means, explain it here to everybody watching and myself. I'm dying to know what's the difference. Why
Yeah.
why is she privileged?
Why is it not good for the goose, but good for the gander, or vice versa? I mean,
Yeah,
I,
but again, Rex, you're a bad
we're,
guy, and I'm a bad guy. We're bad guys for pointing this out, and
because I
you
did
know,
the little cartoon caricature of the princess in a commie outfit. I could have gone straight up Nazi. That's already been mentioned. At least I didn't go straight up Nazi. I started with the commies first.
Nazism, socialism, communism. I mean, the one thing that it's not, and this person is an elected representative of our community in Bossier. She sits on the library board, enabling those dirty books to be able to be kids to go up there to see and all that stuff. We already highlighted that. I guess I need to go check to make sure they haven't fixed that problem. But she said that was the reason they took over for it, and we proved that that was not true because they were all still there.
Right.
And now,
wait. D.D. White Clark says she's something about citing sources. That's a hoot coming from someone who said 4 was a quorum.
well, I don't know.
All right.
Well, anyway, we got to keep going here. I'm losing track quick.
Oh yeah, there's lots more to go, folks, and we have the city council meeting to go, so we need to get with the program here. Where do you want to jump to?
Oh, good
Want to
Lord.
want to jump to my little 152? I don't even remember what I said. I was so damn mad.
Yeah, sounds good. Go.
No telling what I said. Here we go, folks. I'm hearing this for the first time too, even though I said it.
Rex Moncrief, 2208 Hickory Ridge Drive. So I'll cite my sources right off the bat. It's actually my little notes app that I made a few notes while I was sitting out there, just so that we're clear.
Did you get approval
the first thing
for that
I want
from
to say
Juliana?
is, are y'all?
I guess I needed to run back out there, run through the scanner, let the marshals check it in, and let Lee approve it. But I forgot about that. Sorry, Lee.
Y'all actually following your own rules that you set, such as Robert's rules for how you get the floor from the chair? Because so far I've seen you not do that on several occasions already. So if you're going to ask us to follow some rules, you need to start following your own rules that you agreed to on more than one occasion. Number two, I would suggest that y'all all need to read the open meetings FAQs from both the legislative auditor and the AG's office. They're virtually the same document, but you may want to go over those. The Colonel was citing Louisiana Revised Statute 4212, which again is the public policy for open meetings, a liberal construction. That means if there's a question about it, you want to conduct it to be an open meeting. And y'all have given plenty of fodder for us to talk about, obviously, because one of your first orders of business, again, is limiting free speech. You don't have to cite sources when you're coming up here talking. I can make it up off the top of my head. I can cite the statutes. I can do whatever I want within reason. And if you don't like it, tough. I'm sure the attorney would be able to tell you that. And it will stand up in court. So y'all just keep on, and you're gonna go down the same pathway that's gonna end up in a lawsuit, just like the city council that appointed you. Thank you.
See, I am an asshole in real life.
Yeah, you are. I mean, I give you, and you're a good one at that. I mean, you can tell how much of an asshole somebody is by the distance they are away from you. George Carlin.
I need to go back and watch some Carlin. I haven't watched that in a while.
Yeah, Cassie Rogers had a good one. She basically got up, go to the 152:22 mark just before
Okay.
yours.
Yeah,
She
let's
had a
do
good
that.
one too. You were on fire. She was on fire too.
In closing, I ask that you guys also be willing to remove yourselves if there comes a point in time when you guys are also violent and or disgruntled, because I believe that personal attacks are in the eye of the beholder. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, stop right there.
Okay.
I mean, look,
I got to put the brakes on.
we've had a city attorney espouse to want to run over somebody with a Zamboni. We've had
The Zamboni video, I hadn't even played that yet, folks. We hadn't done that in a long time.
We've had Comrade Juliana about, I mean, I'm surprised she wasn't throwing crap from up there. I mean, I think it is a reasonable request that the rules apply to the councilman and the charter commission.
Yeah.
I mean,
What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
They have expressed more violent behavior, in my opinion, than anybody from the public ever has. Maybe violent ain't even the right word, but more hostile aggression has come from these supposed elected representatives or people representing our will. There's been more aggression come from them than it has the public.
Well, and look, I got to say, you mentioned the Zamboni deal. Does anybody in the audience want to see the Zamboni video? Have y'all ever seen that? We haven't played it in so long. If y'all want to see it, let me know.
I want to know, wait a minute. This is a good question. For the audience that we have currently watching, that was something that happened a long time ago. How many of y'all remember the Zamboni incident?
Yeah. Does anybody know what we're talking about?
In the comments, y'all mentioned, do you remember do you know what we're talking about? Do you remember it? And if you don't remember it, and just say, nope, don't know what you're talking about. Y'all are crazy.
Yeah. We will play the video of somebody being threatened to be run over with a Zamboni. Literally the little things that the ice rinks use.
Well, I mean, they got the mud bug. They had a Zamboni at the mud bugs.
Yeah, they got a couple of Zambonis. Okay, let's see. Brian Abear, it's Abear, said, no idea, moved here in 2021. Play it. It's a classic from Matt Williams. Cindy wants to see it. Yep. All right. This is only a couple of minutes.
See, those professional journalists said, look, you should cover old things every now and then. They said, because you know what, you get new audience and people don't remember things. They don't know about certain things.
Right. I think we should play it. So this is the little video that we created. Here we go.
Yeah, but you married me, so what does that say?
And I have to say, before we do this, full disclaimer, there's just a tad bit of violence at the end, but if you've ever seen Deadpool, well, you'll understand. Here we go.
The subject matter of the resolution was posted within the required time, and therefore, it is my opinion that it is absolutely valid and legal for the council to take this action.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's John Settle.
Sir, Mr. Marshall.
Mr. Marshall, point of order. All right, here we go, folks.
All right, Phyllis, we're...
Hot mics.
A motion by Mr. Montgomery.
It's coming.
Go ahead, Amanda, come on, please.
Sorry.
That's all right.
There's gonna be a time when I'm gonna run that son of a bitch over with a Zamboni.
I'd first like to thank Mayor Chandler for the nomination, and I appreciate each one of the council members for taking time to meet with me and also for your confidence.
Go ahead, Amanda, come on, please.
Here we go.
That's right. There's gonna be a time when I'm gonna run that son of a bitch over with a Zamboni.
You're about to be killed by a Zamboni, or you're gonna die in 5 minutes.
So for full context, that was Jacobs talking to Montgomery, saying he was going to run over him with the son of a bitch with a Zamboni.
I bet Settle don't go to no hockey games.
Not when Jacobs or Montgomery's around, anyway. Oh wow!
All right.
Where
So-
are we going next? Yeah, this is
Back to the Charter Commission meeting. We're going to fast forward a little bit. There
Okay.
was so much meat and potatoes here.
Oh, yeah. And we would encourage all to go watch the full meeting. It is on YouTube, of course.
Yeah, and so there was countless. I mean, look. I mean, if you read the agenda, you wouldn't know for the Charter Commission meeting, you wouldn't know that they were going to accept the resignation of Shane or David. And the colonel, correctly pointed out that's not on the agenda. Richard Ray carried the water and said, "Hey, if it would be appropriate if you guys wanted to accept the resignations, you could do it." And they went ahead and did it, but it was not on the agenda. But one of the interesting things, 158:15 mark.
Okay.
So y'all like to make fun of me. My everybody's got our little phrases, right? And I use jackwagon. I use that. That's one of my phrases. But Colonel Crockett caught me off guard. He used one that I.
This is good.
He used. Where the hell did that come from? And I guess I'm not old enough to appreciate this, but you got to play it.
So it would be appropriate to accept those resignations by motion and second at this time and move into new member nominations and approvals. And there were resumes or bios sent of everyone that submitted their name or everyone that was nominated. There was an email to the commissioners with
So it wasn't
bios.
given to the public.
Well, Juliana's
You're
on the
kinda
phone
hitting on
again.
my
Phoning a
issue.
friend.
Mr.
Some-
Crockett, it's our duty to replace them.
Oh, yeah, but see, you're just, the clue bird is not landing on your shoulders, Miss President. The clue bird is not landing on your shoulders. The people want to be a part of this process. These people, most of these people live inside your city limits. Some of them in the person who put you on this board.
I gotta know.
These
Okay,
people would like to have seen those things in the agenda, just like.
What is the clue bird? I'm not familiar with that.
I think that was a nice way of saying she ain't got a damn clue.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like when we would say, "Bless his heart, bless her heart."
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Well, see,
now you got it.
Well, see, I didn't know what "see you next Tuesday" meant. I didn't know what a WASP member was. I had to phone a friend, and what does that mean? And now the clue bird, it caught me off guard. It's another one of those urban slang thing. I had no idea.
I think he said it twice. Hold on.
Was when the city posted it 2 times.
Mr. Crockett, your time is up.
Well, I think that this is bordering on the absurdity.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's bordering on absurdity. It bordered on absurdity years ago.
I wish she'd change the ring. Put Jeopardy music on or something for the ringtone. All right. Wow. Some say Vicky Whitman is still looking for the clue bird. She's probably
Okay.
Bluebird?
So-
What's he talking about?
The U.S. navigators understand clue bird. Okay, so that's one of those military things. Maybe I wanted to look into that one.
Yeah, it must be an Air Force thingy-majigger. All right.
I don't know. So 2:03 mark. Y'all need to listen to this, and then we're going to get to the council meeting thing real quick, and we're going to go through the appointees that they ended up appointing to the Charter Commission. And we're
Oh,
going to
yeah.
kind of give you a little bit of an angle on every one of them and how this is going to go. No surprise from where I'm standing, but anyway,
Yeah, so
203.49. Let's
it
go.
is good. It is going to be a long show, folks. Here we go.
All right, so the next thing then, I guess, would be to take a vote on,
So, Ms. Chairman, may I speak
Yes,
to the
please.
method
Yeah,
we're
go
going to
ahead.
follow? So we have received 5 people who would like to be a part of the Bossier City Commission. We have paper ballots. Each commissioner will vote for 4. The top 4 votes will become a part of the commissioner, and Mr. Ray and Ms. Nottingham will be counting them.
Wait a minute. So, folks, I know a few of you have checked out, but we're still well north of 130 something people. Did y'all hear what she just said? I'm going to go back and play that one more time. What was it? The 203 mark. Listen carefully to the method she described here. And I'm not going to say anything more about it for now.
all right, so the next thing then, I guess, would be to take a vote on,
So, Ms. Chairman, may I speak
Yes,
to the
please.
method
Yeah,
we're
go
going to
ahead.
follow? So we have received 5 people who would like to be a part of the Bossier City Commission. We have paper ballots. Each commissioner will vote for 4. The top 4 votes will become a part of the commissioner, and Mr. Ray and Ms. Nottingham will be counting them.
Did y'all catch that?
is that
We've
acceptable?
already had one comment
Both
that
of
got
us
it.
will count them, or, I mean, she's probably a better counter than I am, but I mean, I can go over there.
Yeah, that's
Let me
fine.
understand, you have how many people?
We
We have
just
5.
want 2 of you to get.
And let me say at this point, there was a mad scramble of text messages and all that going on during the meeting.
So, great question, Rusty Maddox. How many of the new charter members signed the petition? That is a really good question. But I think probably before we get into that, we need to tell you a little bit about the people who had potentially, illegal secret ballot. Viva
Voce. Gotta have a voice.
Voce.
Where's the voice vote? And I gotta say, Rebecca Watley had it first, secret ballot.
Where have I heard Viva Voce before? Viva
Oh, no.
Voce, and it even talked about something about secret ballots.
Yeah,
Remember that?
some about the open meetings laws and, well, the title of this show.
I mean,
Oh,
and just
and,
earlier.
and there's an AG complaint we're going to show here shortly. You'll want to stay tuned for that. Again, gonna be a long show. Go repop you some popcorn, make you another drink real quick. Stay with us.
I mean, and Juliana, I mean, if you're reading, you should want to know who the author is, and I mean, it's relevant, and citing sources is just basic. I mean, citing the sources of how the votes went, I would love to know that. In fact, I think open meetings laws addresses that. Viva Voce, bouquet, or I'm going to
Yeah.
rip it every time. I'm just going to go with it.
Well, close enough.
Yeah.
Hey, do we want to hit play or jump to the 211 mark and watch The Princess?
Yeah.
We can hit play.
211.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why that's at 209:17. So we showed Morehart describing the method that
Yes.
would be used, and then we watched. Yeah. So go ahead. You heard how she described it. There was a tricky part in these notes about this, and the reason I pointed out it being tricky was because Morehart, she used the terminology. Play her part again at the 203:49 mark.
Okay, here we go.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
All right, so the next thing then, I guess, would be to take a vote on.
So, Ms. Chairman, may I speak
Yes,
to the
please.
method
Yeah,
we're
go
going to
ahead.
follow? So we have received 5 people who would like to be a part of the Bossier City Commission. We have paper ballots. Each commissioner will vote for 4. The top 4 votes will become a part of the commissioner, and Mr. Ray and Ms. Nottingham will be counting them.
Hey, I
Okay,
just
stop
thought,
it.
whoa. I just thought of something that I should have thought of last night, but I was so pissed off by the time we got to this point. You ever heard that term walking quorum?
Yeah.
How the hell did they decide that they were going to do a secret ballot to begin with?
Well, that is a wonderful question. How did they know? Is anybody watching? Can y'all tell us how they determined that they were going to do a secret ballot?
Aging West Marriott, you may want to amend your thing.
But are they doing a secret ballot? Because what Morehart said was that, each member will list their 4 candidates on the paper. That's what she said. Right?
Yeah, I think.
So at 211:55 mark, if you jump up there and play at that point and you watch, Juliana already ahead of time, she's got her papers being filled out. It's as if she already knows the whole process, which
And
goes to
again, yeah, how would
which
she know that?
it goes to your argument of when did they determine that they were going to do this by secret ballot?
Yeah.
Viva Voce, Voce.
Yeah, here we go.
Council District 2.
And he's the only one that we would have from District 2.
Watch Juliana.
So, just keep that in mind.
She already had it ready.
Then we have
She didn't even write anything down. She already knew.
So, if you'll,
Imagine that. Let's go back. Y'all watch over here, and it would be the right corner. Let me put the handy dandy little pointer on her again. Make it flash. Y'all keep an eye on her over here in the right corner. Here we go.
Council District 2.
And he's the only one that we would have from District 2, so just keep that in mind. If we eliminate him, then we have him from District 2 again. So if you'll cast your vote.
I mean, I don't remember a secret ballot being anywhere on the agenda. I don't remember, of course, maybe I was so mad. I don't remember secret ballot being discussed in this meeting prior to this right here that we're seeing. I mean, this is about as illegal as it gets. You got 2 attorneys sitting there. Well, one half attorney. Well, she may not even be half attorney. And another quasi-attorney sitting there. What the hell?
Look, as long as she's making money off of the city and making money off of the parish, and they've got dual government income coming, she's going to do and say whatever. That is how Comrade Parks works. It doesn't matter. So, I made a note to say, and it was Morehart describing the process, and I made the note to say they never said it wouldn't be disclosed how they voted, but only that they would fill the names out on a paper. That's what she described, in the thing. But how is it that Juliana already knew? Because she already had her paper filled out.
Yeah. I mean, somebody square this up. Juliana, come on. You got our phone numbers.
So
Richard Ray, explain this.
Y'all are right now currently at the timestamp at 2:12:14. So Rex, jump to 2:13:45.
All right, so let me get up there. 2:13:45 mark. Oh, let me guess. Somebody's on their phone again. Oh, a nice close up too. Here we go. What's good for the princess doesn't apply to all of us, little peasants and peons.
Now, she stays on her phone all the way to the 2:15:06 mark. And Juliana, I mean, just because you go back and you start deleting everything that transpired on your phone up between the timestamp to the timestamp, I mean, it's not going to help you. And then again, if you jump to you keep watching here, you'll still, when it goes back over to the other side, you'll see that she's still on the phone. Still on it. See there? Still on it.
Yeah, I can't believe Richard Ray, and I can't believe Amanda went along with this either.
So we are at 214.39. Well, how is it that none of them know?
Yeah.
I don't get it. The attorneys know less.
Right.
You want to count? Okay.
I mean, maybe there's some exemption that exempts, Conrad Park.
Maybe
applies
so.
to all of them.
Maybe there's some statute I'm not aware of. Full disclosure, I'm not an attorney. I just pretend like one to be one on Facebook. But I mean, you've got the AG's office has a close-up. Thank you, IT department, of Richard Ray counting a secret ballot in an open meeting. What the hell?
So we're at 2:15 mark. They're counting secret ballots, and I mean, I got to tell you, when I was watching this, I had an observation. I was watching Juliana and I was watching Moorhart, and both of them were like stressed out about it. I mean, but I don't know if it was that they're stressed out because they were unsure. I don't think that's it at all. They only needed one vote. They only needed one person is all they need because they've got her, Moorhart, Wilhite, and Whitman. They only need a fifth vote. Lee Jeter, they only need a fifth vote. You should have just went ahead and just thrown in and said, hey, I'll be your fifth vote. And
now,
well, because that's essentially what you did.
Yeah. I wanted to say something so bad at the meeting, but then the flip side was, no, if they want to hang themselves, let them use all the rope they want to use.
Well, are they really hanging themselves? Because I don't think
Not
they're
really.
hanging themselves because they know that all of you, the 130
I'll go ahead and
to 140
announce this,
people,
that Ms. Nottingham
they
has
know that you ain't
confirmed
going to do
she got
anything.
the same results that I did.
You're just going to sit back and take it.
And I'm just going to go down the list. Mike Lombardino, 4 votes. Paul Peak Sr., 5 votes. Lisa Smith, 3 votes. Jeff Lee, 5 votes. Debbie Martin, 3 votes. So I think we'll need to do another vote between the bottom
do
2
it once, they're going to do it again.
Lisa Smith and Debbie Martin.
All right. So jump to the 218.31 mark.
All right, hold on. Let's see. Oh.
I'm just marking these on the back.
Laura Newbert, there was no discussion and vote on how to handle the vote.
I mean, this is a 2-hour and 20-minute meeting so far. Maybe she legit is ordering pizza this time.
So 218, Juliana's on her phone again, obviously, taking direction from whoever or whatever. But I think she's reading a compliment about, good job. Y'all handled up on things.
Right. Her mentor.
But listen closely. We got about 45 seconds. Listen close, guys. You got to listen real close because it's hard to hear right here. But you can definitely understand. And I don't know this song. Maybe somebody watching the show can tell me who the artist is that sings this song that you're about to hear. We've got about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
10 seconds.
We know this is a little boring, but here we go.
That's pretty jazzy.
Pretty jazzy.
Okay, go back.
That's going to be our new saying. That's pretty jazzy.
Go back to the 219.45. Let's play it again for everybody. Hopefully somebody will recognize this.
What's that out? Shazam?
Let's go party. Let's go party. Something like that. It's some ringtone that she has on there. But then more importantly, what she says to Miss Morehart says, it's kind of jazzy. And then she says, that's the perfect song for this, right? That's what Juliana says. She's gleeful that they just got their fifth vote, whichever one that is, they just got their fifth vote for them to be able to affect whatever 100% their will is.
Okay.
Aqua Barbie girl.
You're a Barbie girl in a Barbie world, or however that thing goes. Hold on. Aw, the little princess makes her feel so special.
I mean, look, how could anybody deny that she should be representing the public? I mean, if she's got some Barbie song on her phone. I mean, that is exactly
But Duke,
Barbie World or Barbie something, whatever.
You're picking on her and you're bullying her while she's committing an illegal act.
That's exactly who we should have representing us. Right?
I mean, look, y'all legal eagles out there, is there somewhere some exception in the Louisiana revised statutes that allows for secret ballots in an open meeting? Please clue me in, because I could be wrong. I mean, I can Google pretty good, but I could be wrong. Dee Dee White Clark says she's made of plastic. All right.
My phone is suddenly starting to blow up.
I've been ignoring mine, so let's see.
Anyway, so apparently, you know, that I think that's Queen David's appointee. I mean, I guess that he thinks that's, because his phone goes off. Maybe that's he sent that to her because his phone went off in the last council meeting. She probably sent him something. Remember the other council meeting when his phone went to ringing?
Yeah.
And he just reciprocated in this meeting. And he sent her this Barbie song thing or something. Or maybe that's her ringtone for him.
Maybe so. I folks, it is honestly, I just went last night for the pure entertainment value, and they didn't disappoint again. The last several meetings of this charter commission are an absolute clown show. I mean, there's zero doubt about it. If you want to see the circus, you just go to these things and get to listen to Barbie Girl songs while they vote secretly, which is arguably illegally.
And seek to limit the speech of the public at the same time saying that everything that they do is on your behalf, which is total and complete BS.
BS.
And you all are sitting back and allowing these people to do this to you.
Yeah.
And it's not going to stop until you step up and you do something about it. So about all those people that they appointed, Rex, did a little bit of homework. I mean, look, you hadn't been around Bossier all your life. I have been around Bossier all my life. I was freaking born here. This is my home.
Right.
So, I let's go through things a little bit. In the notes, if you go down, I think we should start off with Mike Lombardino. And because all of y'all watching, before you push that up there, I want to ask a question to our audience. Of the 5 people or the 4 people that were made to be the replacements, what do y'all know about their beliefs? I'm going to read the names again to you. Debbie Martin, Paul Peak, Jeff Lee, and Mike Lombardino. Do y'all know anything about all those people and what they believe in? Do y'all know anything about them? Have you seen a resume? Do you know anything about those people?
Anything at all? Crickets.
I'm thinking that you don't know a lot about them. And why is it that all of a sudden these are people that are appointed to these boards and you don't hardly know anything about them? Well, we know a few things about them because of that. history of being around here a bunch, and you've got a replay video, Mike Lombardino. Let's talk about Mike Lombardino first. We know a thing or two about Mike Lombardino. He hasn't been an anomaly to Bossier. The Lombardino family has been around Bossier for a long time. Mike Lombardino has sought to serve in public office before. I think he's a respectable guy. I do.
Yeah,
And
right.
I believe when he says what he believes, he means it. And we know, I think that was probably a good choice because I know where he stands. And why do I know where he stands, Rex?
Well, because we had a debate, and he was part of it between the let's see, what was it? District 1 City Council? Is that correct?
Well, the one that Brian Hammonds is in.
Yeah.
And
this was
so,
way back in show number 50. Seems so long ago, March of 2021. And well, the way the format was set up is now correct me if I'm wrong, Duke, the candidates could submit questions to ask of the other candidates, right?
well, yeah, and in the debates that we have done, in all of them, we never ever created any questions, ever, not the first time. In the debates that we do, the candidates submit the questions. They form their own questions. They give them to us the night right before we go live, and we ask them in the order to which they randomly drawn. And we went back and we found an interesting question that was asked by Mr. Lombardino in that race for Bossier City Council.
Let's play it.
First question is, he says, I'm committed to term limits and I commit to serving only 2 terms on the city council. Will the other gentleman here commit to the same here this evening?
Good question. I think that as you've been in business and you've done a job or you've had a role, that eventually at some point you've done everything that you can do to improve an area, improve a company. So eventually there's going to be a time where someone needs to step away and then somebody new is going to need to come in with some fresh ideas. So I agree. I think that I could commit to 2 terms as being
Good answer,
for
Derek.
my city council run.
Oh, that quick? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, term limits. Term limits is a big story in South Bossier. Everybody wants term limits on everything. And I agree with term limits. I don't think anybody needs to serve in there 24, 30 years. This is a part-time job. It's not like Washington where people go up there and do it as a career. So yeah, I would agree to that. Term limits 2 years. I think you can get a lot accomplished in 8 years.
Mike, it was your question.
I was in it from the beginning. I was all about term limits. That's what you hear about a lot of times. They move in, they sit in, and they're there. It's nothing for new ideas to come in, no room for anybody else to interject new ideas. We have a younger generation coming up. They're the ones taking over. We need to move aside for them. And if we can't accomplish something in 8 years, we're not going to accomplish much at all. That's my answer.
Well,
Okay.
I'm glad to know that Mike Lombardino, I've forgotten. Thank you for reminding me that he is such a supporter of term limits.
Now, I would point out, and as we go through each one of these folks, Mike Lombardino, Jeff Sadow had a really great article, and Jeff Sadow pointed out on campaign finance issues. And if you go to Jeff Sadow's blog spot, and you can read his article, and he points out and talks about, campaign finance donations to candidacies. And I think Mike Lombardino, if I remember correctly by Jeff's article, that Mr. Lombardino received donations from maybe Darby and Montgomery. But for Mr. Lombardino to publicly, he brought the question about term limits. So I would suspect this one dividing issue, Mr. Lombardino is going to be on the side of term limits. I think that's where he's going to be. So, moving on to the next person, Jeff Lee. A lot of people may not know Jeff Lee. I have considered, like Mike Lombardino, I've considered Jeff Lee a friend for a long time. And, but again, where does Jeff Lee stand on things? And I've got a cut waiting in the wings. Now, before I could even get my feet on the ground regarding the appointment of Jeff Lee to one of the open spots, we were already getting information. In fact, we got a screenshot sent to us. And if you want to go ahead, Jeff
It's
Sadow
live.
corrected. Maybe Jeff Sadow's correcting. I think he said that Darby gave to him and to Whitman. The Montgomery thing may not be correct. But Jeff Lee, somebody immediately sent this, and basically what I'm thinking that they were suggesting here is that Jeff Lee is aligned with Juliana Parks and Santee Parks, and I would tell you, okay, I gotta pick my words carefully here. So I reached out to my friend Jeff Lee to ask him if he was wanting to come on the show and to tell us what his thoughts were, or to tell us what he believed, or to tell us where he stands, or what have you. And I'll just say that my friend Jeff declined to come on the show, and he gave me a response. And basically, the response was, I'm trying to find it real quick so I'm not, there we go. Basically, Jeff said, hi, Duke. I look forward to serving Bossier any way that I can. I'm reserving any votes or comments until I have to cast my ballot. The workshop should give me good information to better understand what the commission is trying to accomplish. So you're not going to know where Jeff Lee stands on anything until he casts his vote.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious from what we're showing on the screen which way that vote's going to be cast.
And, Jeff Sadow points out, which is why Lee gave Juliana $750 in campaign donations to, Juliana Parks. So he is aligned with Juliana Parks. He's not going to tell you what he thinks until after he votes. And if they, quote unquote, vote in total on the end on the package, as they may or may not have previously delineated in a Charter Review Commission meeting, Jeff is not going to disclose whether he supports or opposes term limits. Now, I will say to you, I went back and I looked for, Jeff's name on our term limits petition, to which I did not find Jeff's name on the list. I will acknowledge that he is the only one that I went and looked for. And the reason was because he was the first one in my list that somebody sent me information. They were suggesting that he was aligned with Juliana Parks. So I can only conclude that my friend Jeff Lee is going to be the fifth vote for the anti-term limits people. And so with that said, what does that mean? What that means is the original agenda of the anti-term limits people, and by default, the city council, the graybeards, as Jeff Sadow coins them, was to, and Jeff Sadow coins it, he describes it great in his article, that their intent is to use the Charter Commission and a charter amendment to try to water down the term limits petition and the vote, to maybe, hopefully, have two versions on the same ballot to where you, the public, have to choose between which to vote for. And hopefully, I hate to say deceive you, but in my words, deceive you to vote for the charter amendments to kill the retroactivity to enable them to be able to serve till they're 100 years old or however many years they want to infinity. And Jeff Lee, earlier in the show, when I was talking about our friends and neighbors who are so willing to just get on board and throw everything to the wind, you know, now you know what I was meaning by that. And it's a little disappointing in some people who I thought, anyway, I'm just going to
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah,
But
I would stop there and let me pick up the slack a little bit. I'll be a little more blunt and to the point about it because I don't know Jeff Lee or one way or the other. He seemed like a nice guy at the meeting, but I didn't say 2 words to him. I'll just be a little more blunt and to the point. It goes back to what I was talking about earlier. We're pretty much the same people on and off the show. Unfortunately, a lot of people aren't. They're two-faced. And so instead of just coming out and standing on what he believes and saying, look, if he's against term limits, that's fine. We can agree to disagree on that. But just come out and say it. He should have said, yeah, I'm in there because Juliana wanted me in there. And I'm going to vote against the term limits and the retroactivity because she's trying to stick up for David Montgomery and his crew. That's all he's got to say. At least you know where you stand and at least you're honest about it. Now, I'm not trying to put words in Jeff Lee's mouth. Again, I don't know him from Adam. But it's not too difficult to connect the dots. I'm just saying.
No, it's not. It's not difficult to connect the dots at all. He's going to carry the water for Juliana. They've got 5 votes to basically do whatever. But it's not his fault. It's not Juliana's fault. It's Lee
our
Jeter's fault.
Oh, dang! I was going to blame us again. Darn it.
No, it's Lee Jeter's fault. I mean, because Lee Jeter knew this, but Lee Jeter enabled this, and Lee
He is
Jeter,
the
you can
Benedict
say whatever
Arnold.
you have enabled this. You're the one. You're the guy, and it doesn't mean they're going to win. It doesn't mean that term limits are over, because I feel strongly that the judge is going to order them to put it on the ballot. It doesn't mean that this charter commission and Jeff and Juliana and all their cohorts that seek to, limit the public's speech, that seeks to limit your right to things. They don't even want to allow you to vote on term limits. I mean, in a weird sort of way, this is good for the public to be able to see. This is your neighbors. This is people that are turning on you, and they're turning against your will to be able to vote on things. So to Jeff Lee, I responded to him to that, and I said, right, comma, I guess the citizens of Bossier can't know your ideology on the issues until you cast a vote. Have you and Juliana discussed your appointment to the charter committee before last night? And I got no more response from Jeff. He went dark on me.
Yeah.
So, Jeff, if you want to come on the show, you're more than welcome to. You call me and you need something. I mean, normally at this point, this is where friendships are burnt down. I still consider you a friend. If you choose to burn my relationship down, that's fine. I'm about truth and light, and I'm calling it as I see it. If you disagree, you have every opportunity to come on here and say your piece. I mean, you are an appointed official on the Charter Commission, illegally, I might add. And if you're so willing to accept that and go along with that, then I will let the public be the judge on that. I mean, next person, Debbie Martin. Debbie Martin, let's move on. Debbie Martin is a longtime political advocate around Bossier, business person, long heralded in the Bossier community, lives in Green Acres Place. I have always thought highly of Debbie Martin. She primarily, her politics revolve around mayors and judicial and district attorneys office races. Jeff Sadow pointed out correctly that she was a supporter not of Tommy Chandler but of Low Walker and of Skylar Marvin. But that's kind of the way she's always been. She has always been in that mix. Interestingly, when that vote came down between her and Miss Smith, both of them had only got 3 votes. And in the end, they had a revote, and Debbie got more votes than Miss Smith. Miss Smith was the only person, y'all think about this, of all of those 5 people, she's the only one that had been out there collecting signatures for term limits, and whose husband is planning on running, Cliff, who's planning on running for city council. So isn't it ironic that she didn't make the cut and that they didn't vote for her? Nothing against Debbie Martin, because I think Debbie Martin is as fine of an individual as they come. And, Debbie's appointment to that commission, I think is a good thing. Paul Peak, that's another appointment. I think that was Lee Jeter's pick. He wasn't even there. And Lee Jeter said that he was sick, had a doctor's appointment for some reason, couldn't be there. Obviously, that was Jeter's pick. Well, Lee, you got your guy, but they got their guy too. And none of your votes are going to matter. So what good did you do, Lee, except for just make all the people that have been doing the heavy lifting have to do more heavy lifting? Thank you, Lee Jeter. Thank you so much.
Mr. Benedict Arnold. Oh, what's that? The tangled web we weave when the art is to deceive, or whatever the saying is. Anyway, so I listed the names of the members. I hope I spelled them right because I was just typing them in. Mike Lombardino, Jeff Lee, Debbie Martin, and Paul Peak Sr. Maybe it was Peak. I'm not sure. This came off the news site. So it may or may not be correct. If it's not, I didn't misspell his name on purpose. But anyway, there's your 4 new Charter Commission members as voted on in secret ballot in an open public meeting, which is different, I might add, because there was a comment earlier from an RS State Central Committee meeting or whatever, because those aren't open public forums, technically.
Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Not so fast, Jeff Lee. You may not be going to be able to thwart the will of over 3,000 citizens of Bossier with your comrade princess just so fast. In fact, word on the street is there might already be complaints already filed.
No way. Do I get to show an AG complaint?
I don't know. I'm just saying. I mean, if there was, I would think that would put a hitch in the giddy up.
Well, let's see what I can come up with here.
The clue bird has not landed on your shoulder.
That's truly funny. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can get this done. I'm just going to drag it over as a PDF here.
And could for point of reference, could I make a point here? I've got to make this point. So, for all of y'all who are against us that you're watching, whether it be on YouTube or whatever method you're watching, so that you can glean information to be able to fight us, don't think that we're so stupid that we don't know. And also the fact that we're giving you heads up that you're probably going to have to redo your meeting. You're probably going to have to redo what you've already did because you screwed up and you broke the law. And yes, we know we're giving you heads up. Right. I mean, we're helping you.
All right, so Horatio Brookins Jr. says, why did the mayor and councilman pick replacements? Because there is a statute, I don't remember it off the top of my head, that the commission or those types of commissions are able to pick their replacements. I personally think the mayor and councilman and city council should do it over again, but that's apparently not the law.
It's not delineated in the charter how the replacements would be, but it is delineated in statute. Therefore, that's the way it went.
What would be the earliest date that the Charter Commission can get a new charter on the ballot? Well, if they hurry, December. But they got to really get their stuff together.
Yeah, here's the thing, and this is why, Rusty, why they've kicked it in the butt and why they're busting their butts is they want to get it on the December 7th ballot, and they can get it on the December ballot with the term limits petition that's going through court. We have a hearing date on September the 6th, or 6th or 9th, next week, next Friday. And oh, by the way, if all of y'all citizens of Bossier, if you're not mad enough already, just know that you're paying for all the attorneys, even the ones fighting. You're paying for the Queen and his attorney and to fight it. You're paying for it, but both ways, all the way around. Y'all are paying for it,
Isn't that
fighting
lovely?
for and against.
Isn't
Don't
that
you
just
love it?
lovely? Yeah.
That's
All right.
how much they care about you.
Yeah, and care about your tax dollars. They can't give the police and fire raises, but they can hire lawyers from Baton Rouge and shop them around. One of the few things David Montgomery actually shops around, apparently. All right, so this is from West Marriott to the Louisiana Department of Justice, the Office of the AG. He did it on the LA GOP letterhead, by the way, as a Republican State Central Committee
Well,
member.
let me address that.
Okay.
So he is a member of the Louisiana GOP. He was elected to a state central committee, Senate District 36G. Using that, I don't know why he does that or why or whatever, but he is.
Maybe it looked important.
He is an elected official of the Republican Party. Period.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
so he so chooses. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a person to be able to say he should or shouldn't. I'm on I'm on the state central committee as well too.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what kind of trademark they have on their logo and copyright usage, but anyway. So Ruth Pope Johnson says, Rex, can't read it. I know that. I'm going to do a little reading for you, and we'll be posting this on Bossier Watch Facebook page after the show. Dear Honorable AG Mural, I am writing to formally request an investigation and the filing of charges against the Bossier City Home Rule Charter Review Commission for multiple serious violations of Louisiana's open meetings law that took place on August 26, 2024 at their 6 p.m. meeting. As an elected member of the RSCC, I have a responsibility to exercise oversight as a member of our party's governing body and to refer violations to your office. Additionally, as a private citizen of Bossier Parish, I am directly affected by the actions of this commission, which I believe have compromised the integrity of our local government. Specific violations include the following. Voted on amendments to rules of decorum without public notice. The commission voted on amendments to the rules of decorum without publishing the proposed rules to the public in direct violation of RS 4214 through 4218. These amendments not only sought to restrict public comments by disallowing repetitive comments or those written by someone other than the speaker, but they also aim to limit the total time allotted for all speakers during a meeting. The lack of transparency in this process directly undermines public participation and accountability. Then he cites Hayes versus Jackson Parish School Board, gave Louisiana courts a guideline that public bodies must generally describe what they're going to discuss at a public meeting. By disclosing it on the agenda, reestablishing the rules for decorum does not satisfy the guidelines in Hayes. Number 2, unlawfully accepted resignations without proper notice. The commission accepted the resignations of members Shane Cheatham and David Johnson without properly notifying the public as required by 4219. The law unequivocally mandates that all voting items be published at least 24 hours in advance, regardless of weekdays and holidays. By failing to do so, the commission prevented the public from being informed about the additional resignations and the replacement of 4 members rather than the 2 initially expected. The Hayes standard applies here as well. No reasonable person could assume that there were additional resignations to accept under the agenda item title, New Member Nominations and Approvals. Pretty ambiguous. This action further exemplifies the Commission's disregard for open governance. Number 3, conducted a secret ballot in violation of open meeting requirements. The Commission conducted a secret ballot to select 4 replacement members in clear violation of RS 4214. which requires all votes to be Viva Voce. The secret ballot process conducted under the supervision of the city attorney Richard Ray and the CAO Amanda Nottingham deprived the public of transparency and accountability, as it is impossible to verify how each member voted. Additionally, there was no motion or second during the meeting to create this illegal process, and no public comment period was allotted to address this, which is what I was addressing in my final comments. So I was correct. The lack of a motion or vote on this process mirrors Greenman versus Bossier City of 2010 case, and similarly should invalidate the meeting. The clandestine procedure of secret balloting taken by the commission is a gross and deliberate violation of Louisiana's open meetings law. These violations are not only egregious, but also jeopardize the future of the Bossier City Home Rule Charter. The actions of this commission have undermined public trust and violated the principles of open and transparent governance, which are foundational to our democratic system. The voidability clause of the open meetings law, which is revised statute 4224, must be invoked and action taken immediately. As per 4225, which mandates that the Attorney General shall institute such proceedings upon a complaint filed with him by any person. Wes respectfully requests that your office take immediate action to investigate these violations and pursue appropriate charges against the responsible members. The citizens of Bossier Parish deserve a government that operates with transparency, accountability, and adherence to law, especially since there are multiple attorneys involved in this. Thank you for your attention. Looks forward to the response. Here's what you can do. You can also, and there is a time limit on this, you can also file complaints with the AG's office. They've got to be done in a timely manner, and it's a short time frame, like 2 weeks or less, best I remember. May not be exact. Hadn't had to deal with this since the Cypress district. But you too can complain to the AG's office about this. There is a specific form to do so. Way to go, Wes.
Good job, Wes Marriott. You know, and here's the thing. There is not enough Indians in holding these people accountable. I mean, there's just not. I mean, you've got some of the same old people that are fighting the fight. Wes is one of them. And there needs to be more people stepping up to the plate. If you guys see it as we do, and you may not agree with us, and if you don't agree with us, that's fine. Then if you think we're all just nothing but a bunch of batshit crazy wackos, then by all means, go get on board with Comrade Parks, But if you think that your government is going sideways and that there needs to be more accountability, and you have problems with the way your government is functioning the way that we do, then you know what? You need to do something. You need to get involved and you need to help. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can help. It just takes just a little bit of effort. The end result is, you losing your rights to speech. You lose your rights to having a say about your taxation. You lose just countless different things. That's what you lose as a result of your silence. So, am I off base here? Am I in La La Land?
No, you're absolutely on base. And it's 9:50. I mean, we can keep going because
we haven't even covered the council meeting.
I know, because launching off what you were just saying, we could go. That's a good segue. We could go straight into the council meeting. So I actually do want to show a couple of segments of this. So, folks, if y'all want to stay with us, if you want to catch it on the replay, we leave all of our shows up and all that. Those of you that have watched us for a while know that. But look, I think it's kind of important to actually show a little bit of this. How are you for another few minutes, Mr. Lowry?
Oh, I'm perfectly good, but I would defer to the folks that are hanging in there. We're still over 100 people, well over 100 people. I'm wondering.
impressive.
I want to ask them a question. I appreciate all of them staying informed, and with them, by virtue of being informed, they're able to share the information out to other people. And if you're watching and you don't turn around and communicate what you hear or what you learn from the show, I mean, that's not doing any good. You need to communicate it. And I'm not telling you what to communicate. I'm telling you to communicate that you heard with your own ears or you saw with your own eyes the information that we put forward. That's what I'm
Okay.
telling you to put out there. I'm not telling you what to put out there, just your own
Yeah,
assessment.
go watch these meetings for yourself, and make your own judgment call.
So, with that said, I mean, me and Rex, we've got tons of information. We could continue going on. Would y'all prefer us to the council meeting? What
Yeah.
about if we just did the show Thursday night, we came back and we highlighted what they did at the council meeting on Thursday? I mean, would y'all come back and want to see it on Thursday to get the rest of the story, or do you want to keep going and push on through it tonight?
Yeah, let's see. Now, we've got several people that are saying they want us to keep going, but let's give you all the option for Thursday, so we'll give you about a minute or so. And again, we appreciate all of you watching, and for 100 people to be watching at, what are we at?
3
2 hours and
hours.
2 hours and 52 minutes, basically 3 hours. That's amazing. So we're keep going. Whatever you guys want to do is great. Keep going. I'm good. Tried to pull up today council meeting. It was not available. That sometimes happens when it does the changeover from live to a published video. All right, let's do this. So maybe we won't go through every bit of it, but I'm going to hit a couple of highlights. The first one being, let me switch screens here. Here we go. Council meeting.
They want to keep going.
All right.
We
Anybody
wanna
need to
give
take a bathroom break? Now's the time to say.
Yeah.
And here we go.
Let-
So Wes did a comment on a Republican resolution. I'll give you the summary version real quick. The Republican state GOP party did a resolution in full support of the term limits coalition and encouraged the city council to vote to put it on the ballot, which, of course, as it turns out, well, we'll see how they voted here in a few minutes. So y'all can go watch the official video for that. No slight to Wes, but he just reads that. But I want to point out one thing, that he does interrupt Wes. Listen to this.
Central Committee, myself and Ms. Newbert have
Your
traveled here.
address. Your name and address.
The Republican Party of Louisiana is based out of Baton Rouge. My personal address is 211 Shadow Ridge Drive.
He literally was just getting up there to introduce himself and hadn't had time to get his address out of his mouth before the Queen was already on him. So
you know, they do that crap on your address just to help burn your 3 minutes. That's
yeah,
what
they
they're
do.
doing.
They do.
They're demanding you spit that out there. You just need to say, "I'm Joe Blow from Bossier City, Louisiana. Have a nice day."
All right,
I mean,
but
get that crap out.
this is a good part. So I'm going to jump up here to where Queen David mentions about term limits. Now remember, Wes has just read the resolution from the state party about supporting the term limits. So this is where the Queen jumps in.
Mr. Jacobs, we're preempted from corresponding or returning any type of conversation due to pending litigation. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Just for the record.
Say that to you, Mike, would you, David?
What's that?
Say that into the
All
mic,
right.
will you, so we can hear.
I'll let Mr. Jacobs.
Okay.
Now listen,
Well,
this is
you're
good.
going to have, I believe there's a resolution on the, and again, there's a resolution, I believe it's the last item, or one of the second to last items on the agenda concerning the mayor's resolution
This
to
is
send
great.
this to the voters. And I don't think you're precluded from making any statements, concerning term limits.
Watch
if you
Montgomery's
wish to.
face.
However, I would, the council is represented by an attorney. Or certain members are, and then I believe
Yeah,
certain
he's
other
not
members
liking
are
what he's
and
hearing.
the mayor are represented by an attorney. And, of course, I have a conflict in the matter, as I've stated earlier, but I I would just say that everybody needs to follow the advice of their counsel, as to making any statements,
Charles
concerning
is
the
looking
issue
better.
or not concerning the issue.
Yeah, he
or
is.
Whatever
And
their
he's on
counsel
point.
has advised them to do.
He
That's
is.
why everybody has an
Now,
attorney. And
now
I
listen to
believe
the Queen's
the
response to the
matter is
response.
set for September 6th at 9:30 in front of Judge Self at the Benton Courthouse.
Well, then
Listen to
I'll
this.
clarify, I've been advised by counsel not to discuss this matter due to pending litigation. It's been that way for 23 years.
Yeah. Yeah, you listen to that advice.
That was great. That
You
was
go ahead.
great. Yeah, Cassie says, his look says, damn it, Jacobs, you were supposed to agree with only me.
Yeah, he tapped out.
Yeah, so, all right. So there were a couple of good highlights. All right. Let's go to this is just the reading of the term limits resolution. Here we go.
Adopt a resolution ordering and calling a special election to be held in the city of Bossier City, state of Louisiana, to vote upon the adoption of amendments to the current city charter of the city of Bossier, making application to the state bond
Parker Self,
commission
local
and providing for
show.
other matters in connection therewith. First and final reading.
So moved.
All right. And so then the colonel comes up and actually does a great job as usual. So let's listen in.
David Crockett, 653 Dumaine Drive, Bossier City, Louisiana. Mayor, thank you for putting the resolution on the agenda again, and I hope you keep it going as we go through this process. We appreciate it. The second thing I wanted to mention is since there is a Bossier, or there's a term limits component to the Charter Commission, I wanted to just name the names of the people that were nominated. I hope you'll indulge me for that. Paul Peak from he lives in the Mr. Williams area. Jeff Lee from Maggio's area. Mike Lombardino, I think he's in South Bossier. And then Debbie Martin, who lives also in Maggio's district. I think it's unfortunate that we don't have anybody from Mr. Darby's district, but I know that that was because people didn't put forward their resumes, so I appreciate that. But I also wanted to say that it's intuitively obvious, and this, of course, isn't legal advice. I would be the most inept person at giving you legal advice, but any two of you could change your vote today, and a lot of these legal fees would go away. I'm not saying that that's the only reason to do it, but any two of you could change, and I believe that I've already mentioned once before, I don't like to be repetitive all the time, but I have talked to so many people in each and every one of your districts, and I think that one of the missed components of this is many of you have run unopposed in many, many recent elections, and maybe you don't know your district as well as the people who walk each and every street that we could walk just about to try to get signatures. And I appreciate your comment earlier that you're not running again, but I believe that the people of Bossier City just need the opportunity to vote on this, and I think that we can take and then at that point, if anybody wants to argue about this, once this is either passed or fails by the people, then that would make that an individual issue where the city doesn't necessarily have to pay two lawyers to fight this. So anyway, I appreciate your opportunity to comment. I hope you'll seriously consider this and think about the number of people in your districts who truly support term limits. But thank you.
I will comment on one thing you said. It's not our problem that people doesn't run. I mean, we go to qualify to the.
Or Bubba Don.
And nobody else qualifies, so.
Well,
anyway, that's all I wanted to
well,
say.
let me just make a quick comment about that. One of the reasons that people don't run, and you can find this in study after study, is when you have people that have been in for years and years and years, and there is a cost and a risk to run and all those things, but when they see that there's an opportunity, we already know people in at least two of the districts, if not three, that are already making decisions to run because they see term limits on the horizon. So I think you're going to get increased participation from the public. I really appreciate your question about that. You're not going to have a problem getting people to run. I promise you that. So, but thank you.
Drop the mic.
Any other questions from the audience?
All right, here we go. So let me just tell you, If you were waiting for the fireworks, you're fixing to get them. This is where you might want to tag a couple of people back in. This is excellent. Any commentary before I hit the play button? Ready to go.
Ding, 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 ding.
West Marriott, 211 Shadow Ridge Drive. Gentlemen of the Bossier City Council, once again, we gather not out of desire, but of sheer necessity, a necessity fueled by your continued flagrant disregard for the will of the people. This council, a body that should be the bedrock for this community, has instead become a symbol of contempt for those it was elected to serve. Twice now you have found yourselves embroiled in litigation for failing to uphold the law, a lawful petition, mind you, that you are duty-bound to address. Mayor Chandler, your effort to bring this resolution forward is noted, and thank you again for reminding this obstinate council. Let's be clear, this is not about placing a referendum on the ballot. This is about the very heart of democracy being trampled underfoot by political elites who seem to believe they are above the law. The Bossier Term Limits Coalition followed every rule, collected every signature, and on July 25th, the Registrar of Voters certified the petition. And what has this council done in response? Nothing but stonewall, confuse, and delay. This is dereliction of duty and malfeasance of the highest order. The city charter is unequivocal. Upon receiving a certified petition, this council shall, without veto, pass an ordinance sending the petition to the voters. Not maybe, not possibly, shall. But instead of following the law, we see Councilman Montgomery running around lawyer shopping like a desperate man clinging to the last vestiges of power. Allegedly, when local attorneys wouldn't take up...
Mr. Marriott.
Yes, Mr. President.
There's no need to say what you said about Mr. Montgomery running around.
Hey,
We haven't run around.
Can
okay?
I request that we read the rules of decorum for Mr. Marriott, please? He didn't seem to get it.
Mr. President, before you make a ruling on the point of order, which I'm assuming this is a point of order, I would like to state that Acosta...
You're not in charge. I'm
Are you going to
asking
make a rule?
Mr. Williams.
Hold on, we're going to read them one more time so you understand, okay?
Sure. Before you make a
We've
ruling
got
on point of
another
order, I would like
gentleman
to speak.
speaking from the audience. If you want to come to the mic, you're more than welcome, and state your name and address
I
for
could
the
have finished
record.
by now.
No.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Williams, could we have the rules read again?
In accordance with Louisiana Open Meetings laws and the adopted Bossier City Council Meeting Rules Resolution, the City Council asks for order and decorum at our meetings. Please silence your cell phones. Anyone wishing to address the council on any agenda item may approach and say
Who was
their
the one
name
being
and address
boisterous?
for the record, and shall be permitted 3 minutes to make their comments on.
But wait a minute,
particular
Wes has got a
items
good
that's up for
comeback. Listen to
discussion,
this.
With up to 4 speakers per side. Any person making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks who shall become boisterous while addressing the council shall be forthwith by the President Pro Tem, barred from further audience before the council, unless permission to continue be granted by majority vote of the council. All remarks shall be addressed to the council as a body and not to any member thereof. No question shall be asked a council person or the mayor except through the meeting chair. All other audience members are asked to observe the meeting quietly. City Council has appointed the city marshals as the sergeant at arms, and they have been instructed to maintain decorum and ask anyone in violation to step out of the meeting.
Mr. President,
Thank
before
you.
you make
Hold
a
on.
ruling on your point of order, could I state that Acosta v. City of Mesa, Ninth Circuit Federal Court 2013, members of the City Council shall not, by disorderly interruptions or disturbing speech, delay, interrupt, or disturb proceedings of that council. I would just like to say that it appears that this council body is in the business of interrupting, something you seem quite fond of. Just because these claims do not make friendly accusations against members that are on the dais, the comments are addressed to you, Mr. President. They will contain the names of council members, as is my First Amendment right.
Okay,
The First Amendment...
Your time's running, so is this...
Well, you made a point of order and I was interrupted. You haven't ruled on that yet. I demand that my time be restored so that I can continue. The people deserve to hear the truth and without being censored by those who are supposed to represent them. May I continue?
You got 47 seconds.
Matt, can you restore my time? The 3 minutes that I'm authorized since I was interrupted. So you're going to allow Mr. Montgomery to interrupt members of the public who have come to speak here?
Now you got 37 seconds.
Okay, I'll continue. Councilman Montgomery running around lawyer shopping like a desperate man clinging to the last vestiges of power. Allegedly, when local attorneys wouldn't take up his meritless case, he ignored their advice and scurried to Baton Rouge to recruit Andrew Kolb, an insurance attorney of all people. Let me tell you, no legal maneuvering will change the fact that this petition is lawful, the language is sound, and the people's will is undeniable. Councilman Darby's open defiance of the people's wishes and brazen declaration that he will never support term limits is nothing short of arrogance. Councilman Free, who claims his constituents don't support term limits, how do you reconcile that with the... Yes, Mr. President.
Your time's up, okay?
Can I finish the last sentence? Since you cut me off again mid-sentence?
Not more than 5 seconds then, okay?
Okay, can I restart that sentence? I'll take that as a yes. Thank you, Mr. President.
No, that's
and
enough.
Councilman Free, who claims his constituents don't support term limits, how do you reconcile that the JMC Analytics poll that's showing 77% of your district is in favor? It's clear this body is more interested in preserving its own power than serving the people. I'll post the rest of this.
Did you have something to say?
Listen up.
Did you have something to say? I saw you read.
Well, I'm just saying that, slanders, personal remarks, I would just respectfully advise the president of the city council that Mr. Marriott seems to be right on the line.
Now, a couple of points to that. One, right on the line is not over the line. Number two, nothing that he said was slanderous. It's literally all true. You can go read the court documents yourself. They're public documents because asshat Queen David did hire an insurance attorney from Baton Rouge. Nothing he said was a lie.
And I mean, if he's lawyer shopping around, I mean, and he ends up with one that's an insurance attorney out of Baton Rouge, I mean, what is not true about that? I
Right.
mean, the problem with it is that they don't want the public to hear it framed that way. They don't want the public. They don't want the public to.
Here's the reason that the city nor Montgomery doesn't sue West is because they're elected officials. So automatically there's a much higher bar on the slander side of things if you're an elected official. And they know that. They're just trying to flex their muscles for the show during the city council meeting. But nothing he said in there was untrue. He literally did shop around for attorneys. We do know this for a fact.
I was just sitting here having a thought. What's interesting is the people that are the most outspoken are the people that have the most financial gain out of being in their positions as government officials.
Yeah.
Think about that.
You're right.
And the other ones, I can only assume that the Darbys and the Bubba Williams, and they're just these people's useful idiots. I mean, isn't that a communist thing? Who was that wrote that? Stalin?
Right.
Not Stalin. Who was it that talked about the useful idiots? The people that the ones in charge used. I feel sorry for Bubba. I feel sorry for Darby and even Free to that extent. But I think Free, in fact, I've had, a source tell me that Free's attachment to his council position was by virtue of real estate, that it somehow or another benefited him. I don't know how that works out, but, been told that.
Is he doing it for the pay? For the city council pay? No.
I don't know that it's for the pay, but
that's what I'm saying. I'm being facetious. No, of course not.
But somehow or another, there's some benefit, some real estate benefit for him to have that. That's what I've been told. I don't know that that's true or not. I mean, but the bottom line is they're all useful idiots for the guy on the far right.
Oh, yeah. All right.
I mean, that's it. And even Maggio has allowed himself to be that guy.
I know. It's sad. It really is.
It is sad.
All right, here we go. Here's Robert Wright. He did a good job as well.
Hello, council members. My name's Robert Wright. I live at 6307 West Oxbow Circle, South Bossier City. Well, here we are again discussing term limits when there's been more than 3,000 plus signatures twice. I know the first petition was ruled not proper because of the birth date, if I remember correctly. But here we are again. Now, if I remember at the beginning of this, when Mr. Jacobs asked for a legal opinion, is that right, Mr. Jacobs, at the beginning?
A legal opinion was asked. If you're talking about the first term limits petition that
Yes,
came
sir.
to the city, yes, we did request an outside legal opinion that was rendered by Miss Katie Bell of Keene Miller in Baton Rouge.
Thank you, Mr. Jacobs. One of the things I remember that Mr. Jacobs said, and correct me if I'm wrong, that we were doing this to avoid legal fees.
Good point.
Well, right now, we're not avoiding those legal fees because this is going to be a lawsuit if it has not already been filed. These are going to be legal fees that the taxpayers have paid that are going to be spent on something that's frivolous because the rules are clear that y'all should be bringing this forth for a vote of the people. I appreciate y'all's service because I know, I'm going to pick on Mr. McGuire, I know you have been working many, many years for the city and your family has too.
All right, now I want to make a point right there. Notice they didn't say anything to Robert Wright about calling out Montgomery right there. Not a peep. Think about that for a minute. All right, here we go.
But it's time to get this done. More than time to get this done. As I said many, many times ago, it's going to come to election in December or it's going to come to the election in April. It is coming. It will come. It will eventually be passed. It is my opinion that the majority of the citizens want this. Don't spend my tax dollars on legal fees frivolously, please. Let's get this done. Thank you. Oh, one more thing, and help me if I'm wrong with this. It's my understanding in Robert's rules or the rules of the council that someone should be recognized before they speak. I know in other bodies that I'm in, you'll ask for recognition, and then the president would, or the chair, would then recognize them to speak. So if that's what it should be, I would ask you to follow that again. Thank you so much for listening again. Y'all have an awesome day.
I got to say, Robert did a great job right there. And he and I have had several conversations about term limits. I'll just leave it at that. But excellent job in pointing those things out. And again, I want to point out, there was no point of order or anything about invoking Montgomery's name when Robert Wright did it. All right. Here we go. We're almost through, folks. But Miss Alice Boyer had a good point about walking Freeze District.
She did.
Hi, my name's Alice Boyer. My address is 5041 Highway 80 in Houghton. I just wanted to let y'all know that I was one of the people that walked and collected signatures for the petition, specifically in Mr. Freeze district. And I want all of y'all to realize that I had no problems getting it. If there were people home, there wasn't very many people. There may have been one or two that didn't have time or they were situational or whatever, but no one had any, they knew what term limits were. They were unhappy about the situation that they were in within the city, and they were glad to it. They were enthusiastic. I just wanted everybody on here to know that. Thank you.
Point there, Miss Alice.
Miss Alice is on point, boy.
All right,
Oh, yeah. Now, listen to what Jeff Free asked about, of all things.
We still got to vote?
Comments? Comments?
Yeah. That's what we've been getting comments. Any comments from the council?
Here we go.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
For the mayor, you sponsored this resolution here. Just question on Exhibit A, the estimated cost of the election as determined by the Secretary of State based upon the similar elections. What would that cost the citizens of Bossier City to run this special election?
Now, let me give Jeff some advice. Don't ask a dumbass question unless you already know the answer to it. Here we go.
I'm not quite sure. Angela, do you have that?
Unless you know the person that you're asking doesn't know the answer.
I'm sorry, I didn't have that with me.
All right. All right, so I'm going to jump ahead because this is where she comes up to the mic and announces it. And I'll say this, she's pretty accurate with this because I know back in the 2019 election, I had inquired with the Secretary of State's office what the election would cost for the parish. It was about $22,000, except if items are already on the ballot, then you take the cost of that and divide it across all the items. So here we go with what it would cost the city.
Yeah, $14,400 was the estimate.
And to your point, Mr. Free, I think we're
Listen
already
up.
having an election on December 7th this year anyways, because
on
of
that ballot?
constitutional amendments for the state, so I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's going to be an additional cost to the city.
There is not. The only thing they have to do is add it to the machines. So there's minimal cost, dumbass. Way to go,
Council, any more
Chris.
questions?
Good point.
Mr. Freak, any more questions? I do not.
Okay. And Mr. Smith has one more good question.
For whatever reason this were to pass today, what does that do for the impending lawsuit? Does that make it go away?
The council would vote to, if the resolution would pass, and if it's not too late now, if you could meet the bond commission and the Secretary of State's deadlines for December 7th, yes, then that would obviate the need for litigation. Unless,
listen up.
Citizens or members of the city council, they could still ask for some type of injunction, I would assume. But again, it's a situation where, I've stated I've had a conflict in. So it could, but not necessarily. It's just, again, we're in uncharted waters here, with this, type of litigation, so.
All right, council, please cast your vote.
All right. How y'all think they're going to vote? Survey says,
Motion failed.
there it is. I'm going to pause it right there so y'all can see it. Is that any surprise to anybody watching?
All right. So to close this out, I don't know if you got anything else. I don't think
No,
there's anything else on this.
No, that's all I have timestamped. Now, there was another little interjection by Montgomery because Wes was literally whispering something, and Montgomery tried to make an issue out of that, but I don't have that timestamp. So, yeah, we're pretty much done for this evening.
It may not be appropriate, but if you'll go down in the notes in the Charter Commission part, I got to go back to this. I got to go back.
Okay.
Because I think it's pertinent. And if you drop down to the last replay, and I didn't put the time, but it's got 46:49. Shane has something to say. Yep, right there. You're there. You knew exactly where I wanted to go.
Yeah, give me just a second here. What was it? 46:49.
Yep, 46:49. Shane has something to say, and I just want to go back to Shane Cheatham. I mean, because just this little exchange right here, this little exchange that happens all right here is basically the definition of the current state of Bossier City. This is what it's all about right here.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Any other comments from the commissioners?
Mr. Chair, I would like to call for questions on the agenda.
I have some comments to make, but if there's not a second above that,
Can we, well, let's just procedurally, before we get too far afield, if you're making a motion to call the question, you would need a second, and that would end the debate, but I believe that takes.
well, since there hasn't been a second, I would like to make a comment.
Sure. I'm just trying to make sure we know where we are procedurally, keep it clean.
This Charter Commission has put in a lot of hours and a lot of time. In the beginning of this, I explained to this Charter Commission that this Charter Commission was put together for one reason and one reason only, and I still believe that, and I'll probably die believing that it was put together for term limits. I tried to make a motion got a second. It failed 3-4. And the conversation then was, we don't want to be in a hurry. We want to take our time. But now we're in a hurry. You were going to have a meeting. The only reason I'm here today is you were going to have a meeting, an illegal meeting, with only 4 people if I wasn't here.
If we were going to do
And
that,
I
we would have
decided,
done it
excuse
last
me,
week.
it is my time.
I'm just pointing out that
I'm
that's
just saying
incorrect.
it's my time.
And I'm just saying that that's wrong and it's not true.
I tell you what we're going to do. Tell you what we're going to do. Tell you what I'm going to do.
You have made a mockery out of this
Tell you what I'm
commission
gonna
after
do.
all of
I'm
our
going
hard
to-
work.
Can we
have order, please?
I'm
One
going
person
to-
at a time, please.
I am going
I
to,
apologize, ladies and gentlemen.
I am going to excuse myself from this meeting, and I'm going to recommend that everyone else do that. There are currently ethics complaints on numerous members of this body. Any business that we take moving forward right now is not good for the future of Bossier City.
Shane, will you please give me 30 seconds?
I would love for y'all to let me finish talking. Then you can have as much time as you want.
Thank you, sir.
Because I'm not going to be here when I'm finished talking.
Please.
Y'all
give
can
me
make a
30 seconds
decision on
before
what
you
you're
leave.
going to do. Here's what I'm saying. All of a sudden, everybody wants to get through tonight, calling for the question, moving forward, doesn't want to hear from the public. I'm about tired of hearing elected officials in this city and their cronies and appointees not want to hear from the people of Bossier City. I would sit here until 4 o'clock in the morning if every one of these people wanted to talk for 3 minutes, 10 minutes. But at a meeting I was not at, y'all made a rule,
Even
and
though
I'm
it
trying
has
to move
nothing to
forward
do
from
with
that.
what's before this board.
But here's what I'm telling this commission right now.
This is ridiculous.
Any votes or decisions
she
that
just
you
can't
make
stand
today
it.
to replace someone, to move forward, will be challenged in court. So why rush through to do that? And it also has the appearance of you don't want to hear what the people of Bossier City have to say or their input. We had town halls, which people attended. We have a meeting here where people attended. But it appears that we want to rush through. And how dare you tell me I'm making a mockery of this commission? Let me tell you something. You decided not to show up to a meeting after y'all lost the
I
vote
was
4-3.
sick, and I can bring you a doctor note just
So-
like I've offered to.
Y'all lost a vote 4-3, and you decided not to attend the meeting.
You were texting during the meeting without notice and without the public to be able to see what you were talking about with 4 people, which is a violation of open meetings law. So don't you educate
I
me.
text after a meeting, by the way.
No, it was during the meeting.
All right.
You were texting during a meeting. Well,
What the hell have we shown her doing all night? Or half the night?
Comrade Parks. I mean, every freaking meeting we've had, you've had your phone in your hand.
Yeah.
Has anybody seen the communications on your phone? Every single meeting that you've been at, you've been on your phone? And you even said that you thought that it's germane that everybody be able to see what comments other people were having or what you were reading from. I mean,
Well,
but I would like to know from Conrad Parks how she views that she is exempted rather than everybody else. I mean, is anybody watching? Do y'all have an explanation as to why she should be exempted?
look, it's
I
real
mean-
simple. And I was going to mention this Bossier Watch rule. We've mentioned it before, and I was going to mention it at the beginning of the show. So this goes straight to the princess herself. Don't do stupid political stuff, and we won't have anything to talk about. But you keep opening your mouth and changing your feet. Sometimes you stick both your feet in your mouth. And that's a prime example of that.
I'm worried about our community. I'm worried about our country, and I am afraid that we have a lot of people that don't understand what it is about the First Amendment. They don't understand about what it is to have a constitutional republic or to have a democracy. I don't think they understand any of the fundamentals, and I think that we are starting to see that at our local level. And we're seeing it in people who are attorneys, people who are able to steer law. And I am worried about where we're heading. And unless a lot more people step up, I mean, look, there's a lot of us that are doing the best we can do to hold the line, but there's not enough of us. There's not.
No.
There's more Comrade Parks than there are us. And I'm just saying, the folks that are worried about your community and all, you got to step up and you got to place the best interest of your community ahead of your self-interest. You folks have got to come forward. I mean, the time is
Look,
now.
and I'll say this too, we're still over 100 people at, what is our official time? 3 hours and 26 minutes. So y'all are doing your part. We need to step up the game and have more butts and seats at these meetings. We need to be holding these people accountable. It doesn't need to just be Wes and the Colonel doing it, and Cassie and Miss Alice and all that. We need to have some more folks doing it. We appreciate all y'all watching. We appreciate all the commentary. We appreciate it when people tell us that we're picking on poor little Princess. That's fine too. We appreciate the commentary and the dialogue, and we definitely appreciate y'all watching tonight.
Yep.
Anything else?
So an hour and a half later, and Rex said it best. Thank you all. You guys are what makes this show. It ain't about us. We're just like y'all. We're just two regular guys. That's all we are. Rex has the tech ability to make this happen. I don't know what it is I bring to it. I mean, I think it's just my good looks, but
could be
I have
comic
a
relief.
high achieving wife. I mean, so that's part of it. And a dog.
She
He's
does
still
prop
been
you up.
laid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a dog. He's been loyal. He's been by my feet this whole show for 3.5 hours. He's been by my feet.
It's been a
Anyway,
while since we've done a 3.5 hour show. Been a while.
yeah, but it's y'all paying attention, still hanging in there. 100+ people at 3.5 hours. That says something. I mean, there's a lot of you. We beat y'all up about getting involved, and it's true. If we had 100 of y'all showing up at every meeting, do y'all know what we could accomplish? If we had just half of that, do you know what you could accomplish in your local government? Holy crap. You could move mountains. But, you're here, you're learning, spread the message. That's what
I
it's
agree.
about.
Dee Dee White Clark says, see y'all next Tuesday. We agree. We're out of here, folks.
Good night.